2000. History for the King. Sack! Big Jeff. 1, 2.
In that stadium, the excitement from fans, the excitement about just what's to come for this team. I mean, Ramon, that was amazing, right?
It was. I'll be quite honest with you. I enjoyed it because it's cool watching fans, people, patrons, whatever the masters like to call them, okay? Patrons having a good time, embracing what the future is, too. And that's what the draft is. The NFL does a really good job of putting all of this on. And then locally here at the Titans, this is my third year doing this, and this has been fun every single year, and just the optimism behind it. I think they said over 15,000 on the field as Cameron Ward's name was called, too. Wow. That's a party right there. You won't meet a stranger in that crowd, Matt.
No, and you could feel it. I mean, you could the feeling in the room and the anticipation as it grew to when the pick was in, it was palpable.
Yeah.
You could feel it, and then everybody stood up, started moving towards the desk where we were, and then the people all moved down to the field. It was outstanding. Yeah. I mean, and then their reaction was so organic and so visceral, and just everybody was just was happy because the draft in the National Football League, all the years I've done this, it's about hope.
It is.
It's about hope. It's about selling hope. It's about selling an idea. It's about selling a direction. And you could feel it in that room. And then Cameron Ward put the topper on it when he started speaking. And just the way that way that he's presented himself from the time he was selected to the time that he got off Miss Amy's jet here and came in front in the press conference here, that's a dude. Mm-hmm. That's a dude. And if you know anything about guys that are dudes, that you've been around in all the locker rooms I've been in, all the teams I've been around, all the locker rooms Ramona's been in, all the locker rooms you guys have been around covering this league, you can tell when somebody is very comfortable in their own skin, but also is very much wanting to be a part of uplifting everything they are involved in. I love the vibe.
So as we approach tonight's rounds, quicker between selections, 7 minutes in this round, and then we go to, 5 minutes after that?
I believe so.
And so after Cam Ward was taken, the Cleveland Browns made a trade with Jacksonville to move down to 5 last night. And as a part of that, they've got 2 of the first 4 picks to start this round. And so the draft night 2 is underway. Let's put the Cleveland Browns on the clock.
Cleveland Browns. 3-14 under head coach Kevin Stefanski, and last place in the AFC North Division. Quarterback Deshaun Watson's availability in 2025 is up in the air, to say the least.
4 available players are on the defensive side of the ball, but this feels offense to me. This Browns team has got to get
need help along the offensive line, and in particular, left tackle. It could be time for a new RB1 with the oft-injured Nick Chubb healthy and becoming a free agent. An edge pass rusher could be a target to help Myles Garrett on the defensive line. A slot receiver might be in the mix with Elijah Moore gone. The Browns have 10 picks at their disposal, and 4 of those are in round 6. The Cleveland Browns.
So we know Cleveland went defense with that 5th overall pick, and they took Mason Graham, the defensive lineman from Michigan. And you heard some of the other team needs in this, and this begins what really started last night after that point, and what is Shedeur Sanders' watch in this. And I'm a little surprised that he fell out of the first round. He is one of many really good prospects that are on the board tonight. They have pick 33. They have pick 36 right after the Titans at 35. And looking at what's left here, that's really at tops of boards, and Mac will tell you what's on top of the Mac Rhett board. Shedeur Sanders, Jalen Milroe at quarterback, Tyler Shough at quarterback. The wide receivers, Luther Burden from Missouri, Jaden Higgins, Iowa State, Kyle Williams, Washington State, Jalen Noel. A guy we talked to at the Senior Bowl, tight end, Mason Taylor from LSU. Mm-hmm. One of Cameron Ward's favorite targets, tight end Elijah Arroyo from Miami. Both running backs from Ohio State, Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. The pass rusher, Mike Green from Marshall, that we also talked to at the Senior Bowl. Donovan Ezaraku, 16.5 sacks for the Boston College program there. Linebacker Carson Schwesinger. Cornerback Will Johnson from Michigan, who has had some injury issues and maybe one of the reasons why he has fallen to this point. Savon Revel, the corner from ECU, he's coming back from an ACL. I'm a little surprised that cornerback Trey Amos is still here, and Nick Emmanwori, the Giants safety from South Carolina.
Yeah, well, I mean, both of those corners you mentioned, it's because of their knee, and that's the reason. The pick is in. A little bit of house cleaning for Cleveland. They cleared about $35.5 million off of their cap, the way they redid their quarterback's salary cap. Now this is going to be interesting, this one. But you went through some people that are at the top of our Mac Rhett board.
No doubt about it, man. This too would be interesting to see what Cleveland does, because they will have a future need for quarterback, right? We acknowledge that. And here's the other thing too: if they choose a second-round quarterback, that's not a throwaway pick. I think we get so enamored by what a first-round pick is and what you're supposed to do throughout your career. These are still high-premium picks right here, and it'll be fascinating to see what Cleveland does, because the value is there. Nick Chubb's situation: do they go running back?
Process question though. Is it easier to not start a guy right away, or to give him a little more of a lead-up time if he wasn't your first-round pick? I know. Answer quickly, because the commissioner's
It's easier not to start it.
That's actually Joe Thomas.
It is Joe Thomas.
Left tackle.
Fresh off a hip surgery, too.
Well,
let's see what Big Joe...
I called him the commissioner of the league, so he's got the upgrade of a lifetime.
Let's see what happens here.
How about them Brownies? Here we go with the 33rd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. Your Cleveland Browns select Carson Schwesinger, linebacker, UCLA.
So they do not go.
Carson Schwesinger, 6'2", 242, hand 9 1/4, arm 31 at 5/8, wing 71 1/2, 39.5-inch vertical leap. And at his pro day, a 10.7 broad jump, a 4.25 short shuttle, 7.05 in the three-cone drill, Mac. And one of the top linebackers in this draft at off-ball position.
Yeah, I don't know much about positions in the National Football League, but I do know linebackers. This guy is a very, very instinctive dude. His athletic ability is something that shows up on the film. He's got short area quicks. You just mentioned the three-cone is excellent. He's got good lower body explosion, and he's very, very aware. He plays with what I used to call, when I was looking at linebackers and coaching linebackers for years in this league, he plays with his bright lights on. He gets a whole total field of vision. He knows where to put his eyes. This is a very, very instinctive player. This football player here going to Cleveland, Jim Schwartz is the defensive coordinator. Schwartzy loves linebackers like this. I've been on staffs with Schwartzy where we vetted and drafted linebackers together. This fits perfectly with his mode of the kind of guy he wants to run the show behind the line of scrimmage.
The other part of that too, Mac, you speak about what he does on the field well and the schematics of it too. What I also look at this is the why. You got a guy, Myles Garrett, that wanted out. You know what Cleveland's done in their first two picks? Went defense. Got him some help on that side of the ball, too. So they know this more than anything. They know that it won't just be double-team Myles Garrett Day every single Sunday. You got a guy that's good in space. And I also look at his skill set, too, in a sense, Mac. He's good in space. You know what you got to deal with? Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson out of that division, too. They're trying to swallow up as many quarterbacks as they can defensively, and I think that pick right there showed it.
That's a great point. And here's the other thing that he does very well that linebackers have to do in this league, and it takes some of those guys coming from collegiate game a while to do it. He's got it already. He's got a good field of vision, Ramon, and he knows how to get ahead of the block.
Long,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yes,
Long and rangy guy, Mac. Yep.
He can get ahead of the blocks, which is important, because when you get a guy like your size that comes out on that second level,
I can't wait to touch him, Coach Mac.
Yeah, I'm saying you were big. You still are. You can get swallowed up if you get behind the block.
And you know that's one of the first tests I want to see for a young guy too, Mac. Once I get close to you and I can smell your breath and you smell mine and I can reach out and touch you, how do you get away from it?
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? That matters, Coach.
Yep.
So also last night in the first round, there was a trade where the New York Giants traded back into the bottom of the round at 25. They took Jackson Dart, quarterback from Mississippi, and they traded with the Houston Texans, who had been at that spot. And so with this pick that is coming in now, we won't even put them on the clock because they're about to make the selection. Let's hear what the selection is.
Home coming back to Wisconsin. Houston, it's our time now. With the 34th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Jaden Higgins, wide receiver, Iowa State.
Wow, Jaden Higgins, 6'4", 214, 4.47 in the 40-yard dash, hands 9 1/8, arm 33 3/4, 80-inch wingspan. Had a great career as a Cyclone, Mac. I think he only had 7 career drops in 4 years at that school.
Well, this is a guy read on our board at the top of this second pod, which is right where he went. And you can look at it. This is a big, long receiver. Yeah. But he's not just that. I mean, he's not just a combat catcher. He can separate. He can run away. His catch radius is really good, and for a lot of guys that are long striders, they're not real good as far as setting things up. He can set people up. He's not a segmented guy like most high cut guys are. He's very smooth. This guy was right at the top. He was taken right where we had him ranked, Rhett, which makes me very happy. I'm not happy he's going there, but
and here's news as it pertains to the Titans at pick 35. They have made a trade with the Seattle Seahawks at 35, and Seattle is on the clock. So, according to Ian, go ahead. Play it.
First-year head coach Mike McDonald and finishing second in the NFC West Division. The trade of quarterback Geno Smith to Denver and the addition of free agent Sam Darnold led the headlines of free agency. But Seattle will need to protect the investment. It's no secret the Seahawks need to be better along the offensive line, particularly on the interior. And the rebuilding at wide receiver shouldn't end with the signings of Cooper Kupp and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. who have both already celebrated their 30th birthdays. On defense, Devin Witherspoon is Seattle's only starting caliber cornerback signed beyond the 2025 season. Another edge rusher to help combat the 49ers and Rams offenses wouldn't hurt. Seattle has 9 selections total this weekend, and 5 of those are in the top 100 picks. The Seattle Seahawks.
All right, we'll get to what they're looking at this point in just a moment. The terms of the trade from Adam Schefter. So the Titans have traded 35 to the Seattle Seahawks for one of their, because they had 2 picks in this round at 50 and 52. They get 52 and number 82 in this draft. So they get 82 in round 3. So they picked up a 3rd rounder so that the Seattle Seahawks, there's somebody here they really wanted to move and get that right there. That's interesting.
It is.
Well, this is what we thought would happen.
First trade of the night,
We
too.
didn't know about the Seahawks, but the Titans have said all along, going into this draft, before the draft ever started, they were looking for more picks in the top 100, correct? Mm-hmm. That's what they've done right now.
Now, the elusive 3rd round pick, got it. That's huge, man. As many as you can to get those premium guys. And now you just got flexibility and options at this point, too. That is a good move, I feel like. Of course, we'll see who they want. So as far as Seattle goes, that's a ways up right there for a team. I wonder if this is a sign, because, Mac, you taught me something, too, when it comes down to runs. Is this where the runs on wide receivers happen at this point right now, Coach Matt?
Well, with Jaden Higgins going first,
yep,
there's a good chance that you've read this correctly, Ramon.
Yeah, that's going to be fascinating. Good for the Titans to be able to wheel and deal right there, man. You didn't want to go that long without drafting a guy.
No, I mean, it breaks it down. So the Titans were originally scheduled to go from pick 35 to all the way, nothing happening until 103. They now go to 52 and then 82. So you almost split that difference there, and then you're picking again at 103. So much better for this team, gives them so many more options. And with the amount of talent that is in kind of the middle part, the upper middle part of this draft.
The Coke bottle, as Matt called it last night.
Yeah, so kind of the top of the Coke bottle, where that air bubble is.
Yep.
There's a lot of really good talent in there, and you want to crack at it.
Well, what you want to do is you want to shorten the span. I mean, it's like running the hurdles in track. I mean, it's like going from the high hurdles to the low hurdles. You want to shorten that span in between steps you've got to take. That's exactly what they've done.
So, Mac, moving and getting this valuable 3rd round pick that they've been it seems like they've wanted that ever since this new regime has come in. And even Chad Brinker, president of CEO of football operations, have even mentioned that in having this. What does that do now for this Titans team as they're trying to assemble and knowing the needs going forward?
Well, it allows you to get onto your horizontal board. That's what it allows you to do. Now that you don't have the huge separation, you get onto your horizontal board. Now every position is open to you, which is instead of having to just, we've got to take one of these because the spread between hurdles is so wide. Now they've shortened the spread, and now they can open up their horizontal board.
And that board can talk to them.
Yes, that's what they're doing.
Okay, this is the top guy we've got rated here in any of the regardless positions. Here we go. The board can talk.
I was going to say the other cool thing about this is, too, you expect us, and we were just speaking about it, the run on quarterbacks in the 2nd round, too. What I'm hoping for is for those guys to move up where you pull more skill guys. You got your quarterback of the future in Cameron Ward. If that Tyler Shough starts to go, Shedeur Sanders start to go in this conversation, that to me is more advantageous for the Titans having these extra picks later, too.
That's a valid point, because sooner or later the run on quarterback's going to start too.
Yeah,
valid point.
Absolutely,
That
Matt.
quarterback draft hasn't even kicked in yet, really.
No, absolutely
and that's what
not.
pushes everybody else around.
Well, and last night, Cam Ward's going to go number 1, but Jackson Dart threw a crimp into that board, and so the run will start a lot later now.
All right, let's see what the Seahawks do here.
Whoa.
Somebody's fired up.
Excited.
Richard Sherman.
It is Richard Sherman.
Wearing the Seahawk colors, too.
You hear him before you see him.
Always.
The next rival has been chosen. The Tennessee Titans have traded the 35th pick to the Seattle Seahawks. With the 35th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Nick Emmanwori, DB, South Carolina.
Nick Emmanwori, one of the big safeties that are left on the board. In fact, he's one of the top ones left in this thing. He is 6'3", 220, 4.38 in the 40, hands 9 1/4, arms 32 7/8, wings 78 5/8, and a huge made-in-a-laboratory safety that is going to be a Seattle Seahawk. That's such a Seattle pick, Coach Mack.
It's exactly a Seattle pick.
That harkens back to the old Legion of Boom kind of deal.
Legion of Boom, and that's what when they play that three-match defense back there. This is a Legion of Boom. This guy can play back. He can play up. He's got great length. He blew the roof off of Lucas Oil in the combine. Blew the roof off of Lucas Oil. This will be a movable piece in their defense. You're 100% right, Rhett.
And just looking at the board that they have up right now, Rick Woolen being one of those guys up front, they have bodies, Coach Mack, that you say to yourself, Devin Witherspoon being another one of those dudes, you find compliments to guys. They got a group now that they can help grow up together.
Well, and this is, Rhett said it correctly. This is even the fact that they've changed head coaches. This is still the same general manager, John Schneider. This is what he does. This is the type of team he puts together defensively, and you've got a big interchangeable piece back there in the back end that you'll see playing a lot of different spots.
All right, let's do this. Let's take our first break because the Cleveland Browns are going to be making their next selection here. Let's take our first break as you listen to Titans Radio's 2025 NFL Draft coverage presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans.
2025 NFL Draft coverage presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans returns.
Brought to you by Farm Bureau Health Plans here on Titans Radio. And if you've missed it, the Titans have already made a trade. So it started with the Cleveland Browns at 33, taking Carson Schwesinger, linebacker from UCLA. Then the Houston Texans got on the clock as a result of a trade they made last night. Jaden Higgins, wide receiver, Iowa State, goes off of the board. Titans will see him twice a year. And then the trade that happened. The Titans were supposed to pick at 35. They trade with the Seattle Seahawks, and they get pick number 52 later in this round. and then number 82 in round 3. So they do get a third-round pick back that they were missing from the trade a year ago when they traded for L'Jarius Sneed, the corner from the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Seattle Seahawks at that point, they take Nick Emmanwori, safety, South Carolina. And then the next pick at 36, the Cleveland Browns just took one of the 2 Ohio State running backs. This one, Quinshon Judkins, 5'11", 221, hands 9 1/4, arm 30 1/4. But this guy, 4'4", in the 40, 158 in his first 10. An 11-foot broad jump, 38.5-inch vertical leap. And Mac, this was the yin and the yang that made that ground offense go to a national championship. The other one being Travion Henderson, who will be selected at some point tonight. But Quinshon Judkins goes off the board first, and he's a Cleveland Brown. That's something they needed because Nick Chubb hadn't been healthy.
Yeah, very well put. And Ramon had mentioned Nick Chubb, before we ever even got into this pick. And so both of you are exactly right. Both of these running backs at Ohio State are starting running backs. Yeah. They are starting caliber running backs in the National Football League. And so this Judkins was taken first, but those yin and the yang is a good way to put it because it's a toss-up between them.
It is. Like, you pick one, I'll take the other, Coach Mack. It's what you're doing in that situation. What I will say about Quinshon Judkins is this. I absolutely love the way he's built. I love the way he runs. I love the way he finishes his plays, too, and his ability to catch out the backfield. He has that breakaway speed we saw in the college football playoffs. I saw it up close and personal in Columbus myself, okay?
That's right. You were there with a big puffy marshmallow coat on.
I'm talking about with warming pads everywhere, Coach Mack. I had a little bit of everything, Coach Mack. But he is legit. I've liked him for a while.
All right, we've got another trade here. The Dolphins are now on the clock. They have a pick in already, so let's tune in and see who the Dolphins are going to select.
All right, we got a trade. We got a trade here. The Las Vegas Raiders have traded the 37th pick to the Miami Dolphins. With that being said, the 37th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jonah Savaiinaea, offensive guard, Arizona. Let's go.
All right, here we go. Jonah Savaiinaea, as I would call him, 6'4", 321, hands 10 1/4, arm 33 7/8, wing 82 1/4. 4'9", 40 at that size. 172 in his first 10, a 29-inch broad, 8'10" broad jump of 29-inch vert, and 4'6" in the short shuttle. This guy, 16 games at right tackle, 15 games at right guard, 5 at left tackle. They moved him inside and outside of those Senior Bowl practices, and they got themselves something they desperately needed because Teron Armstead retired like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So here they go.
This is your wheelhouse.
It is. I'd absolutely play him at guard more than anything. The way he moves, again, he's capable of playing out there. I like his size more so in guard. And, of course, with the size of their quarterback, too, with Tua, like you look at a guy like him and you say to yourself, protect the inside of the pocket so that he doesn't do that thing that he does, go outside and get hurt. I would shore up the middle of that offensive line, which is what they're doing with Jonah Savaiinaea right here with this pick again. And this is also where Arizona, as of late, last year, Morgan, that went to Green Bay, they've been producing offensive linemen for the last 2 years. At that point, it's a trend with what they're capable of doing. Good pick for them. Again, at the end of the day, Coach Mack, this is a big man's league. And when your quarterback get hurt the way theirs does, these are the picks that you have to make.
Yeah, when I look at my write-up on him, the one positive that I checked when I was looking at, he's got power.
Yes, sir.
He's got power, and with the power guys that have the punch, guys that have power, you move them inside because both of you have mentioned it. This center guard triangle is critical now in the National Football League. They are paying money to defensive interior linemen for one reason: quicker pressure on these three-step RPO drops to get to the quarterback. And so I agree with both of you wholeheartedly. I think they will move him into guard, and you've got a good point there too, Ramon. To me, this was a guy that played tackle in college out of necessity.
He could, yeah.
But he will play guard in the National Football League, probably for a long time.
And you watch the way he moved too,
There it
Coach
is.
Mack. His feet, they shake the ground.
There
Like
it
he's
is.
one of those type of guys. But here's the thing: he's a big athlete too. Running, what is it? High fours, 4.9, 5.
Red's on it with the 4.9. And
That's an athlete.
I watched him there at the
6'4" and change and 3 bills plus. Yeah.
This guy is an athlete, but he's a powerful athlete.
Yeah, he is, Coach Mack.
So you notice, so as a part of that trade, the Raiders trade pick 37 and 143. Miami trades pick 48, 98, and 135. So they really wanted him. And the other thing I was thinking about this too, with the trade that the Titans made, it's interesting how quickly that those things became a reality when you're thinking about the Raiders trading out and the Titans trading out as soon as the Texans took Jaden Higgins. You just wonder if that might not have been the pick at that point.
Could have been the catalyst for everybody else. The guy that these other teams kind of had their eye on, that they were monitoring what was happening. Once he's off the board, well, what's the next best option?
Well, and that's a great point by both of you,
Yeah,
because
it
look,
is.
we've talked about, when you get to the second round and you start to move through these rounds in a descending order, that's where your horizontal board comes into being. So people have now put these horizontal boards up there, and they look at their bullpens, and a bullpen is who you've got in mind for your next pick that's coming up. Once those names start coming off, then you can see the daisy chain of some trades that are starting to happen now.
Yeah.
You're both correct on that.
So, Coach Mack, there is a, hey, if this guy's gone where the trade is good,
Yes.
conversations that have, okay, gotcha.
Absolutely. I mean, I worked the phone for 31 years, and you say, look, if our guy's not there, would
We
you
can
do
go.
this?
Okay.
And that's the way you got to, there's constant calling on, going back and forth between all 32 of these teams right now.
All right, let's talk about one of these 32 teams, because the New England Patriots last night at 4 took an offensive lineman, Will Campbell, from LSU to protect their investment in Drake May. Let's see what Elliott Wolf and Mike Vrabel do as we put the New England Patriots on the clock.
New England Patriots, 4-13 under first-year head coach Gerard Mayo. He was let go, and the Patriots brings one of its star players home to call the shots in Mike Vrabel. Quarterback Drake May's survival depends upon upgrades at the offensive line positions, especially tackle. Signing Morgan Moses takes care of the right side, and there will be tackle options atop the first and second round. Wide receiver Demario Douglas gets some help with the addition of veteran Mac Hollins, but drafting another receiver is still on the list. With running back Ramondre Stevenson fumbling often last year, another ball carrier is a target for this draft. The Patriots have 4 selections in the top 80 and 9 picks total. New England Patriots.
So when you know they had to go offensive line right out of the gate, being at 4, and knowing that keeping quarterback Drake May upright is imperative. You heard some of those other needs in this, and Ramondre Stevenson did have fumbling issues. They could look for another back and a pass catcher in that, a dual threat person in that. They could look for another wide receiver in this. That's a couple of areas of need for this New England squad.
It is, and they got options also, too. And here's the other part of it. Well, what we know about Vrabel, it'll be interesting to see what type of guy he goes after, especially if it's a wide receiver. You know protocol number 1 for him? Block.
Let's see what the pick is here at the podium.
He's going to come
We're
out
honored
later.
to have with us Special Olympic athletes Xavier Goff and Unified Sports partner Reed Turner. Both are Unified Flag football teammates from Special Olympics. Reed, Xavier.
That's neat.
Special Olympics is one of the league's Play 60 community partners funded by the NFL Foundation. The NFL and Special Olympics team up to provide opportunities for athletes of all ages and abilities to get active through unified flag football. This allows individuals with and without intellectual disabilities to play on the same team. Xavier, Reed, you got the stage.
With the 38th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select
Henderson, running back, Ohio State.
Here we go.
There it is.
TreVeyon Henderson, 5'10" and 1/8, 202, hands 9.5, arm 30 3/4, wings 76 and 1/8, and really tore it up at the combine. 4.43 in the 40, 1.59 in his first 10, 38.5-inch vertical leap, 10.8 broad. And Mac, #1 in this running back class in explosive runs. 15% of his last year at Ohio State were explosive. #1 in the class, 667 career carries, 0 fumbles.
Well, look, that's incredible to start with. When we talk about both of those backs being starters in this league at Ohio State University, that's the reason. That's the reason right there you're looking at it. If this were a baseball draft, this guy knocks it out of the park because he can take it. He can take it to the house. The other thing is that his ball security, as you said, you can't get better than 0. Correct? I mean, you can't get.
I'm not good at math, as you would say, but no, I don't think so.
I mean, I've got a West Texas math background, but 0 fumbles is really good. No. And so, I mean, does that pick surprise me at all as the type of running back?
Well, then it's an Ohio State pick by an Ohio State.
Yeah.
Just keep going down the line.
You know what? He's already used to the weather New England's going to have to deal with. Everything checks that he's a New England
But
Patriot.
that's something they've been needing.
Yeah.
No knock on Ramondre Stevenson, but that guy can play.
But Rhett, it is like, I know we do that often to be fair to guys, but as a running back, Coach Mack, I've seen coaches just rip them up and down. You drop that football, that's all our hopes and dreams. And if that becomes a problem with yours, this is what the draft is for. This is what free agency is for. You go find a guy that you know that can be your bell cow, or is it at least this? You can train him up to what you want out of a guy like him.
Well, here's the other thing you do, and you bring it up. I mean, you do things that the guy that you have playing for you now is doing that you don't like.
Yeah.
That's what you do. The guys that can rectify that just by what they've shown in their past. I like this pick. This guy also, when you put the tape on, he's a really good pass protector, which is unusual for guys coming out of
That's
college.
usually something they have to work on getting to this level.
This guy's an excellent pass protector too, so good pick.
It's also interesting that they took a offensive lineman in the first round and then a running back in the second round. I like a little salt and pepper shaker duo. Like it's like they go. It's a fit. It's a set. They go together.
All right. When we continue, we'll have more of Titans Radio's coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. It's back in 2 minutes.
In the heart of every community, caring comes naturally. At Farm Bureau.
By Farm Bureau Health Plans. For nearly 80 years, Tennesseans have huddled up with Farm Bureau Health Plans for their health care coverage. It's the winning combination of better rates, better coverage, and better service that keeps your team thriving. All right, so if you've missed it, Travion Henderson just selected as a New England Patriot, the running back from Ohio State. And the Chicago Bears are at the podium. Let's see what they're doing.
NFL Draft. The 2025 NFC North champions.
Oh, boy.
Chicago Bears.
Oh,
Select Luther Burden III. Wide receiver, Missouri.
So they did.
All right, Luther Burden III, Missouri, 6 feet, 206, 4'1" in the 10, 8.5 hands, 31 quarter-inch arms, 76.5-inch wing. One of the better wide receivers out of that program in a minute, and they get some help for their quarterback in Caleb Williams, another wide receiver, Mac.
Well, this is a yard after catch guy. I mean, as soon as the ball's in his hands, I mean, he's very, very dangerous. Very, very productive early on. He didn't have as much production this year, but the production ability is there. But he has got speed. He's able to separate. This is a great example of Amy Wells's NIL money.
Hard at work, man. Hard
she's
at
an
work.
alumni, and she's been siphoning cash over there to Columbia, Missouri. This guy out of East St. Louis, but he had a very productive career there at Mizzou. So he is, and they've added some receivers to that room as of late.
And his numbers were different in 2024 because they had a lot of emphasis on the run game, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Tons of emphasis on the run game, and also the secret was kind of out. So teams were game planning against Luther Burden. So, yeah, a lot of things that contributed to his numbers being a little bit lower in 24 than they were in 23. Substantially lower than they were in 23.
You're trying to be fair.
I'm trying to be nice. Yeah, but he doesn't play for the
like
Titans.
An alumni
so.
talking there.
That sounds like NIL. So
that's an alumni there. You need to be impartial. But anyway.
No, it sounds like a guy that plays for the Chicago Bears
But look
now.
at that. Caleb Williams has Colston Loveland they took last night, 10th overall. Luther Burden, Roma Dunze they took in the first round last year, and DJ Moore that they acquired in the trade from the Carolina Panthers before that.
But this guy, in all seriousness, when you just vet the tape, run after catch, yards after catch,
wild,
is impressive. Yes.
Yeah.
I personally, this is off season, so forgive me by saying this early. I don't know if there's a better receiving core on paper than what they have right now as far as youthful guys around the league. I mean, I look at this lineup they have. I almost feel like Luther Burden has just as much talent as Roma Dunze does of last year. And then you look at the tight end they selected yesterday also. This is going to be, in my opinion, a very pass-happy team moving forward. With Ben Johnson as a head coach, I know he's an offensive guy, but, geez, that offensive as a head coach, this is a big move for them.
I mean, Caleb Williams has got to be licking his lips right now. Like that. So you watch this draft and just thinking about all the weapons that he's going to have this season. I mean,
no, seriously.
Wild.
And the situation is, too, again, with whatever his issues are that he had, you knew this. This guy has a lot of talent. Mm-hmm. A team is going to want to come pick him up. And, again, if you have the locker room that's able to contain whatever his issues they perceive to be, you got a player, man. And because he was lights out for y'all. I'm talking about down the sideline, across the middle, stop routes, goes. It didn't matter.
This is setting your young quarterback up for success, literally. I mean, they've done it in 2 consecutive picks and 2 consecutive nights.
Ramon, what I liked is you looked right at Amy and said, y'all.
All right, let's
NIL money back.
So there was speculation about the New Orleans Saints at 9 last night, and they took Kelvin Banks, the tackle from Texas, 42 straight starts at left tackle. They are on the clock. Let's put them on, and let's see what's going on with the Saints.
New Orleans Saints, 5-12 under head coach Dennis Allen, who was fired after a 2-7 start. Special teams coordinator Darren Rizzi was named the interim coach. New Orleans tabbed former Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore as the new man in charge. Cornerback remains the biggest need for the Saints, with the departures of Marshawn Lattimore and Paulson Adebo. Bringing in a complementary playmaker at receiver and or tightening up the offensive line, especially at left guard, would be sensible. New Orleans currently owns 8 total picks in this draft and multiple selections in rounds 3 and 4. The New Orleans Saints.
So the talk was maybe because of the conversation with supposed a throwing shoulder injury to starter Derek Carr that this might be where Shedeur Sanders went last night at 9. Do they take him here? Or do they take another quarterback and it creates even more controversy?
Well, they've got need for a quarterback because their throwing shoulders hurt.
They do. Let's go to the podium and see what's happening here.
What's up, Green Bay?
Ryan Ramczyk.
Nation, I see you. All right. With the 40th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Tyler Shough, quarterback from Louisville.
Tyler Shough, 6'0", 219, hands 9 3/4, arm 30 3/4, wings 76 1/2, 4'6" in the 40. Little get to him. 159 in the first 10, vertical jump 32-inch, 9'9", broad jump. The thing with this guy is he is a 7-year guy. He's 26 years old. He spent time at Oregon. He spent time at Texas Tech. And in those 3 years, Mac, 3 straight season-ending injuries. Season-ending injuries with broken collarbone in consecutive years, a broken leg. Then he goes and transfers to Louisville, plays for Jeff Brom, puts together a complete season at 25 years old. He's got an arm. This is an interesting pick for them.
Well, at the Senior Bowl, this guy stood out for clear evaluations. At the combine, I sat with the Louisville coaches. Mm-hmm. They raved about this guy, the way that he came in. Even though he was older, he integrated a part of the team. Only quarterback that ran the 40, and stepped up and did it twice, and it got the crowd all fired up because they started clapping for him because he was the only quarterback that's going to run.
And ran a 4.63 at his size
twice.
Not too shabby.
No, he didn't run the first one and just sit down. So, but anyway, that being said, this pick at this point in time, and the durability issues you talk about this guy, he doesn't have any soft tissue or joint operate. I mean, he's broke bones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He broke bones. Broke bones really start happening when you get hit hard. Okay? I mean, that's just the way it works.
He's probably a little gun shy on quarterback sacks, but other than that, he's all right.
That's just the way it works. The fact about him, this is a very interesting pick, and here's the other thing. You're getting a very mature guy that's going to step in, and the process from going now to New Orleans, that's not going to be too big for him.
No, absolutely not. Mac, Brett, Amy, when we were down there, we liked him.
Yes,
we saw him in practice. He kept popping out. So it was just like, who is this? He had zip on his football. He was able to move with the pocket with his legs. He got outside of the pocket, Mac, which is probably part of the injury situation that he has going on. If he can learn to protect himself, add lean muscle mass to himself, and have some protection around him, I like this pick. But, again, they got to help facilitate it. Kellen Moore got his guy. He's got his guy right now.
All right, I'm going to go there because this is the elephant in the room. We've gotten this far in, and Shedeur Sanders is still on the board. What do we think is even the deal here?
Coach, this is the reality of the draft. And again, I've cautioned people, and hopefully I've done a good job of it. How many years have I been doing this now? 9? The 9 seasons I've been doing this.
And you've been doing it for 4 decades outside of it.
Yeah, I was going to say
100. The mock drafts and the stuff that you hear from the so-called experts is different than what's going on in draft rooms.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of times expectations are put out there like it's reality, and it's sometimes, like you're reading Aladdin and Aladdin's lamp stuff. It's not real, but everybody perceives it as real. Yeah. And so just everybody, how many times
powder dry?
Keep your powder dry.
Okay.
Well, but can we have the conversation? Is it possible that his traits and his talent and his potential don't make up for the Sanders show? And there are teams that maybe, he's a great quarterback. Yeah, he could probably help us. It's not worth all of the stuff that comes with.
Now, I see, to me, I've been on a lot of different staffs, and we've got guys. The stuff doesn't bother you if the guy can play.
Yeah.
No, it does. It really doesn't, and he can play.
Yeah,
I mean, he can play. He can play, but just the expectations that are put out there, especially with the amount of time that everybody spends. This business has gotten to be an industry unto itself. Mm-hmm. So again, as I said, I've just been on the inside part of it for too many years to know what's actually going on as to what's perceived.
But if you have 2 guys that are similar in talent and what they're able to do, and one of them comes with Deion Sanders in your ear, who are you going to go with?
But the thing about it is, it depends on what your organization is and who your head coach is. All of that stuff matters too.
Yeah.
It all matters.
It does. And just real quick, too, it's 2 seasons, I feel like, and especially in the National Football League, that you can't get too high, too low in. And that is free agency and the draft.
There you go.
Those 2 things right there will humble you fast. But here's the thing about Shedeur Sanders. I do, Amy, think that's a part of it. Because no matter what, hey, Coach Prime, what did you think about Shedeur? And then you got to answer to his soundbite later in the weekend. And it's not just him. It's other dads in this league, too, that have voices. But nobody is like Prime. And that's a bigger voice. And I got to also say this, too, Mac, to your point about this offseason of lies that we live in the pre-draft. The network's got to do a little bit better job with how they go about propping certain guys up in the storylines and the followings of cameras, because here's the thing. I personally believe you get what you get in the NFL at a certain point. If you got it, it's there for you to take it. And this is just a start of whatever he's going to be picked at. It's on him to determine what's next.
Well, let me just disagree with you for a minute there, Ramon.
I like that, Coach Matt.
The networks don't have to do that because that's what gets eyeballs. That's true. That's what they're in the business of.
That's very true. That's something you're right.
They're not in the business of putting the networks have never made a draft pick.
That's very true.
And about 95% of these draft analysts have never made a draft pick. I'm talking about sit in a room where your mortgage is on the line and your job is on the line and you're making a draft pick. But the networks, they're doing exactly their job. They've promoted this as to where it's one of the biggest things going now in the world. So
that's real.
You as a consumer have got to be able to separate the real from the fantasy.
Yes, sir.
That's what you have to be able
You're
to do.
100% correct on that, Mac.
How about this for a stat?
My guy. That's my guy
The
right
Saints taking Tyler Shough at number 40 breaks a streak that dates back to 1971, which was the last time that franchise used a first or second round pick on a quarterback.
Wow.
Well, had Drew Brees there forever.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, there were some dark days, too. Here's the Bills on the clock.
The Chicago Bears have traded the 41st pick to the Buffalo Bills. And with the 41st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select T.J. Sanders, defensive tackle, South Carolina.
T.J. Sanders, one of the many D tackles in this draft, and there are a bunch of them, but this one is one of the big boys. Let me find the info on him as I struggle to find that.
Well, let me just talk about it while you look to find him. The thing that this guy's got, the best thing when I look through my notes on this guy in his repertoire is his quickness off the ball. This guy's got an immediate jump. He's got a first step jump. He's got a nice little interior swim move, a little arm over. So this is a guy that will probably be a 3 technique in this league, which will line up on the outside shoulder of a guard. Now, and South Carolina had some good defensive players, and this is a guy that stirred it up on that center guard triangle. Go ahead, Red.
6'0", in the 40 at 6'3" and nearly 6'4", 305. Hands 10 1/4 to put on a quarterback or an offensive lineman. 33 1/4-inch arms, 87/8 wingspan, nearly 81-inch wingspan.
Looks like it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so this is just one of those things where we talked about interior defensive lineman, Mac, being one of the richest positions in this draft, and it continues on night 2.
Ramon, talk about blocking a guy real quick like this. It has that kind of arm length inside.
It's problematic, Coach Mac.
Yeah.
One of what we measure us by is our arm length, too, because we want to reach out and touch somebody. Those guys that have those types of arms can cause you to have your shoulders turn, can get into your chest quicker, throw you off balance. He is also a guy with powerful hands with those long arms, too, Coach Mac. This is Buffalo Bills. It seems to me that they are taking, and I hate to even say this about them, but they're taking a page out of the book of the Philadelphia Eagles. Got your quarterback, got your offense, got everything set. Go get you some trench monsters on defense.
There you go.
All right. Got to take a break. When we come back, more coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft on Titans Radio. It's presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Stay right here.
The way teams are built every year.
Welcome you back to Titans Radio's coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Rhett Bryan alongside Amy Wells with our head coach of Titans Radio, Dave McGinnis, Coach Mack, and, of course, our big man, the guy that knows the offensive lineman because he played it for so long in the National Football League, Ramon Foster.
Yes, sir.
So we've had 9 picks. We've had 3 trades. It's been an eventful night. And if
This has been a doozy.
It has. If you're just joining us, the Titans were the first ones to lead that charge in a trade. At pick 35, they traded with the Seattle Seahawks to pick up pick number 52 of theirs later on here in round 2, and then 82 later tonight in round 3, and they took Nick Emmanwori, the safety from South Carolina. The Seahawks did.
Mac, when there were so few trades in night 1, there were, 3 total, I think?
I think that's right.
Yeah. So when there's so few trades in the first night, do you anticipate more in the second, or really is it just a board-by-board kind of situation?
The first thing you said.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Especially, you've got 6 rounds that came after you got another day to reset the board.
Mm-hmm.
You've got 6. I mean, and so you absolutely expected it. And the other thing is that you didn't have any trades announced in the first night until the draft started.
Yeah.
Now they're rolling.
Right. All right. Here's the Jets at pick 42. Let's see what they're doing.
Taylor, tight end, LSU.
Wow, Mason Taylor from LSU. What a young man this guy is. Mason Taylor, he is, where is he? Good grief. I'm having trouble here. 6'5", 246, hands 10, wings 79, 32.25-inch arms, 4'6", in the 40. And he has a Hall of Fame lineage. His father, Jason Taylor, the pass rusher, and Hall of Famer from the Miami Dolphins. His uncle, Zach Thomas, also has a gold jacket. Talked to him at the Senior Bowl. You're talking about a guy that, despite all that wide receiver talent that flows through there in that program at LSU every year, he finished all-time leading receiver in yards and catches for a tight end. Pretty wild.
This was one of our favorite interviews at the Senior Bowl. Am I right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he was great.
We were all 4 sitting there, and you could tell when he sat down and started talking that this league wasn't going to be too big for him. He's been raised in this league. He understood this league. He understands this league. And then, to Rhett's point, he's been surrounded by some really stud wide receivers. His time there at LSU, he still managed to get the football. This is a perfect time to pick a guy like this. Here's a guy like this, too. When he comes into the locker room, he's going to know how to act. Yeah. He knows what the National Football League is.
And everything that he's done in his football career has been big, too. Played at St. Thomas Aquinas, a big private school in Florida. Goes to LSU, plays a lot as a freshman, too. And here he is right now, man, in the NFL, going to a big city in New York. Like, that is him. Athlete, got to get better. He acknowledged that at the Senior Bowl about his blocking, though.
And the other thing with him, talking about putting in the work, the story goes when he's in high school, he asks his mom, hey, can we turn the garage into a workout space for me and my teammates? And so they created the MT, Mason Taylor Lab. And so with that, guys were coming over, banging weights and working out every day, going in and out of practice.
He
Pretty
said
wild.
they still work out over there. Like in the off season, they all get together and they all still work out over there. That's so cool.
So the San Francisco 49ers have just made their selection, and they take Texas defensive tackle Alfred Collins, 6'5.5", 332, 10-inch hands, 35-inch arm length, 85-inch wing. And that is something that the 49ers desperately needed in this draft, Mac, because they had a mass exodus of talent on defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, it really did. And, Ramon, this is another guy at that center guard triangle that's a big, long-arm guy. He's a pocket masher.
Yeah,
he's a pocket masher. He's a disruptor. This is, some guys are jazz players up inside. This guy's a tuba player. I mean,
what about a sousaphone?
He's going to.
John Philip Sousa.
You know that guy in the band that carries a big tuba because it just makes a lot of noise and just blows up in the middle? That's what this guy is. And we talked already about how hard it is to go against these long-arm guys inside.
No doubt about it. In free agency, they also lost Javon Hargrave, so you know there's going to have to find some replacements there also. I'm trying to check and see. Bosa's still there, so you got to have somebody take the heat off of him too. Right. But here's the other thing, Mac. I like talking about the business of the league a little bit too here, Rhett and Amy. Teams are finding a way to go cheap at D-tackle. If you want a premier guy, you go get him in this draft, because we are seeing a trend of interior defensive linemen being drafted. We're talking about guys getting $23, $25 million.
Milton Williams as a as a Patriot now.
Come on.
Yeah.
You go get them in the draft, get the service, and see if they turn into what you want them to, and try to extend them early. But this is what's happening. And all I'm saying is this, man. It just means the offensive lineman's gotten better in the league right now. You know, got to find guys to do better. You know.
I knew there was an angle coming, right?
He had a twinkle in his eye. You could see it coming.
Let me ask you this. Did you have somewhere written in your residual contract that if you talked up the money for guards, that you got a little percentage of it? But no, what you're saying is true, though.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do it, this is a good draft to do it, because as I said last night, this draft, talent-wise, is shaped like a Coke bottle. At the top, pretty thin. In the middle, pretty fat.
Yeah.
And it's fat with interior defensive line.
It is, Coach
That's
Mack.
where it is.
All right, you're listening to Titans Radio's coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Before we continue, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. The Titans play here in 2025. This is Titans Radio. We are in the middle of round 2. The Dallas Cowboys are coming off of taking a guard, Tyler Booker from Alabama, in round 1. Let's go ahead and put the Dallas Cowboys on the clock.
Dallas Cowboys, 7-10 under head coach Mike McCarthy, and third place in the NFC East Division. McCarthy's contract expired at the end of the season, and the role of head coach was filled by Cowboys offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer. The retirement of all-pro guard Zach Martin puts this need at or near the top of the Cowboys shopping list. Outside of CeeDee Lamb, the Cowboys don't have a consistent threat at wide receiver. They can't afford to stop there on offense, though. Free agent signees Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders fit as complementary pieces, but Dallas should still be targeting an RB1 in this year's draft. This squad has had its share of needs on defense, too, thanks to a combination of injuries and free agent departures. Dallas has 10 picks in this year's draft and multiple selections in rounds 5, 6, and 7. The Dallas Cowboys.
So you can hear there, I mean, there's plenty of needs for the big star in Dallas. Wide receiver might be a place here because somebody always needs to reap the benefits of playing opposite CeeDee Lamb in this. And a running back, that's certainly in the works or in the needs checklist.
I coached for 5 years with Shough at the Rams. He was the offensive coordinator there for us, and of course, knew his dad, Marty, God rest his soul, very, very well. But Marty was always a guy that, look, if you're going to win ball games, you have to be able to win it physically. And so Brian has always kind of thought, like his dad. Now, the needs, as you say, for Dallas, they got plenty of holes. Mm-hmm. They got plenty of holes to plug. So
defense
this is going to be very interesting to see which direction they go. Going with a guard for their first pick, that opens up a lot of other positions for this pick here. So.
Can I hit you with an Amy nugget? I know Rhett's got a lot of Rhett nuggets, but this is my favorite draft stat so far of the 2025 NFL draft. The Cowboys have selected an offensive lineman named Tyler in the first round in 3 of the last 4 NFL drafts.
That is an Amy nugget.
So there you
That's
go. Tyler Booker last night, Tyler Guyton in 24, and Tyler Smith in 22.
How about that?
And now let's see if the Cowboys take another
here.
Tyler.
The Dallas Cowboys select Donovan Ezeraku, defensive end, Boston College.
Wow, Donovan Ezeraku, 6'2 and a half, 248, hands 9 1/4, arm 34 inches, wing nearly 83 inches. That was a Senior Bowl guy we had our eyes on. And was he a quarterback sacking machine at Boston College last year with 16 and a half quarterback sacks? They get themselves a pass rusher because you got to remember, Mac, Dexter Lawrence and not Dexter Lawrence, but DeMarcus Lawrence and a couple other guys up front. They left in this thing.
When you watch this guy, length is the first thing you talk about. He's long levered, and the other thing about him is he's smooth. He's smooth. There's not a lot of wasted motion with what he does in his moves, and he's been consistent. He's been very, very consistent there. He had a high number of sacks this year, but consistently he's been a producer. But off the edge, he's not as tall. But he's got arm length. He's got length, and then he's not segmented. And when I mean that, there's not a lot of hitches to his get along when he starts on his pass rush. He's very smooth, and he understands how to dip, and he understands how to skim an edge.
No doubt about it. I'm sure a lot of Titans fan had the same reaction I did when they called his name through the head back, because he was on a lot of the fans' hit list as far as the guys you loved have seen here coming off the edge. But as you said, Mac, he is a production type of rusher off the edge, man. He gets up the field. He knows how to close. He's not one of those almost sack guys. He gets the quarterback to the ground, and he's also a motor too, Mac. You got to love this for them. Again, offensively, they got a lot, but he's, I think, one of the best values you can get at this selection.
Well, and on the Mac Rhett board here that we spent all offseason putting together
have to coin
here.
that too, Mac. We have to.
See right here, he's at the top of this.
Yes, he is.
We don't get any money. We don't get any money for that, but he was at the top.
We could probably put a sponsor on it next year.
Mac, speaking of the Mac Rhett board, is there any other edge pass rushers in Pod 1 that haven't been selected? I know Abdul Carter.
Mike Green.
Yeah, Mike Green. Is he the only one?
Yep.
Shamar Stewart was taken last night.
Yep.
Mike Green was another really good interview from the Senior Bowl. He was just a nice kid to talk to, very well spoken, could really explain what he wanted to do and what his goals were. I enjoyed talking to Mike Green.
Let's see what the Indianapolis Colts are doing here.
Huge shout out Salem City, man. This is a dream come true. But Colts Nation, let's find out who my new teammate is going to be, man. Let's go. Let's keep this train rolling on day 2. And with that being said, with the 45th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, my Indianapolis Colts select JT Tuimoloau, DN, Ohio State.
Yeah, JT Tuimoloau is a very interesting young man, and he was big time in the college football playoff run for the Ohio State Buckeyes. 6'4" and 2/8, 264, hands 10.5, arm 34 and 7/8, nearly an 83-inch wingspan. And I believe in the college football playoff run in their 4 games, had 6.5 quarterback sacks and about a dozen pressures.
Well, look, this guy, Ramon, where's he on our board?
He is.
The next one?
Yes, he is.
Okay, thank you. Just so I can verify
They got to start paying you for this, Coach Matt.
Okay. Seriously, this guy is not only pretty slick off the edge, he's a physical guy. I mean, he is a physical guy.
Yeah.
You saw the game up there. What'd you see from him?
He beats you up, Coach Mack, is
Thank
what
you.
he does. And then he beats you up, and then he'll go around. He's one of those slick guys where I don't think he's overly fast, Coach Mack. I don't think he participated in his 40, but he's a headache on every single play. It somewhat fits with what they're doing because Latu last year was one of those finesse guys around the edge. You got to always have an edge setter, and I'll go again. Division-wise, look at what the Titans do. Look at what Houston and Jacksonville will do. They got to have a guy like him, I feel like, to attack, and that's what his role, I think, will be.
Thanks for reminding us that we're going to see him twice a year.
Right, I mean.
But no, to your point, though.
That's a solid point.
No, and it's as valid as the Titans taking Cam Ward number 1 overall, because in the arms race, and I mean literal as in quarterback arm, in the AFC, you've got to have somebody that can lead the charge there. Well, what do you have to do on the other part of it? Defend them.
Get edge. Yep. Yes, indeed. I didn't mean to bring that up, Brad. It's just
it's good.
It's my old scouting days getting back to me and those types of things. I'd probably say I hate this pick if I was anybody else. But in all, those are the things that you do when you're trying to build up a team like that.
Ramon, that was a valid scouting point.
Thank you.
Don't ever apologize for being right.
No, I mean,
just don't do it.
From time to time,
No, don't apologize.
It is an interesting point, though, with the quarterbacks that are in the AFC South now. I mean, God only knows what's going to end up happening in Indianapolis. It looks like they are going to have some decisions to make as the offseason rolls on. But the Titans bringing in Cam Ward. You've still got Trevor Lawrence, who, regardless of what's going on around him, is a good player. And Houston's got, of course, they've got a quarterback too. So, I mean, you've got to have defensive players to go up against that. And so, I mean, this is a pick that if you're looking around your division and you're saying, hey, we've got to make a splash here, especially if we have some question marks still, bring in a big guy who can mess things up for other teams.
Well, to Ramon's point, and this will be a rotational guy immediately. He's not a guy that's going to play 60 snaps a game to start with, but he'll be a rotational edge guy.
And looking at the trends of this round so far, 13 picks in, there was a lot of offense in the top part, but 4 of the last 5 selections have been defense. So there's a run that has started. It started right there when the Buffalo Bills traded up with the Chicago Bears to take T.J. Sanders, defensive tackle from South Carolina. Then Mason Taylor, the tight end, to the Jets at 42. And then 3 straight defensive picks here. Alfred Collins, defensive tackle. Donovan Azaraku, edge. And J.T. Tuimoloau for Ohio State there for the Indianapolis Colts. So, yeah, that started a run here on that kind of stuff as we kind of roll through this second round.
Well, if you follow the draft closely, I mean, you can start to identify runs pretty quick.
Yeah, you can. Another thing that's a trend too, Mac, that's in this one is Ohio State had a lot of talent.
Well, let me tell you something why.
Yeah.
Because they're really good.
Yeah, they are. and that is, I think, the other side of what the transfer portal is. If you're good, those big programs like them in Michigan and Alabama and Georgia, they're going to come find you. I mean, we're talking about Quinshawn Judkins that left Ole Miss to go to be Ohio State. He's drafted as an Ohio State player right now.
Well, right now, I mean, you start counting numbers. I haven't counted numbers on this thing yet. That's for Amy and Nuggets and Rhett Nuggets to do. But the number
Amy and Nuggets.
the number of people that are coming out of the Big Ten and the SEC.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up.
Interesting you mentioned.
Yeah, because night one, SEC 15 players.
Yep.
Big Ten 11 players.
Okay.
How about that? And then just everybody else after that point.
No other group had more than 2 players come out of their conference.
Power
so
4 or
go.
otherwise.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, I knew you two would know.
Well, I'm going to be honest, the league told me I cheated. I think Red actually calculated it. I cheated.
I did actually calculate it. It's handwritten here. But
good job, Brad.
I mean, but Ohio State, to your point, Ramon, is this year's version of what Michigan was in the draft process this time a year ago, coming off their national championship, because they had 18 guys, I think, invited to the combine, and I think there's about 15 guys for the Buckeyes that
So is what we're saying that the good teams with the good players win the national championship? Because it kind of feels like that's what we're narrowing in on here as analysts in the National Football League. I think that's what we've deduced.
Isn't that something?
Analyze that by 30 years of coaching. The better players I had, the better teams we have.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
How
that
revolutionary. The Rams are making a pick here.
Michael Brock.
Yeah.
I just want to send a huge thank you to all the men and women who serve as our first responders and in our military. Secondly, I want to send a huge shout out to my son, Mikhail. It's his birthday today. He's a draft baby. Let's go. Let's go.
From the 2012
All right, lastly, let's get into this pick. With the 46th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Terrence Ferguson, tight end, Oregon University.
Oh, boy, and that's a good one. 6'5" and 3/8, 247, 4'6" in the 49.5-inch hands, 33.25-inch arms, 81-inch wing, and a highly productive player for the Oregon Ducks. That was a tight end that you and I both liked on the MAC.
Really like him. Let me just say real quick, Michael Brockers, when I was at the Rams, we drafted him. Went down to LSU to see him. He's one of our first draft picks. Solid player. The guy we drafted next year to pair with him was Aaron Donald. So we had some defensive tackles for a while that were really good. Brock is a great player and a good human being. You know Brock.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, this tight end is really good after the catch. Really good after the catch. He caught our eye down there, and the way tight ends are being used now predominantly in the National Football League, he can get some separation. He's very, very reliable. This is about where we had him pegged. as far as the pod that he would go in. So it's a good pick for the Rams, and a nice job by Michael Brockers.
But it also shows you, too, you read off some of his measurables. Another thing that always pops out to me I like to watch is his vertical jump, 39 inches, broad jump, 10-2, explosive. Again, he's one of those guys that's a bigger body tight end, but he also can be elusive, but he also will run you over. That, to me, in the Sean McVay offense that he likes to run, he continually is just moving forward with what he wants to do next.
Yeah, and that's a good replacement because Tyler Higbee's getting some age on him, and that
10 years in now, maybe 11 going in, Coach.
We drafted him, too, when I was there, so the answer is yes.
Well, speaking of places you've been, the Arizona Cardinals are making a pick. Let's tune in.
P squared.
And with the 47th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Will Johnson, defensive back, Michigan.
All right, Will Johnson, 6'1" and 6/8 inches, 194, hands 9 1/8, arm 30 1/8, wing nearly 76. And speaking of good teams winning national championships, he's a part of the Michigan Wolverines that won it a year ago. And some injury concerns with this young man, Mack, and I guess that's maybe one of the reasons why he fell to where he is, because he's a good-sized corner.
He's a first-round pick when he's healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, completely healthy in his talent. The other thing that he does, he's got, cornerbacks have to have great vision. He's able to see because they're lined up on one side of the formation, but they have to have great peripheral vision. They also have to be able to have sudden breaks. That's what this guy's got. He's a longer corner. As I said, we had a first-round grade on him, but the injury. That's a legitimate injury. That was a legitimate knee injury. But this is a good pick because this guy, when whole and healthy, is a real good player.
And that's essentially what it is, Mac. He's a guy, man, that you know is first-round talent. You get him healthy. Knee injuries aren't what they used to be, Coach. You get him healthy and the rehab is proper. You got a stud out of him. And, again, they just retired a guy, Patrick Peterson, a few weeks ago. They're trying to get back to that era, being able to cover and blanket you. Calais Campbell's back with them also at these points. So rushing coverage always work together. Not that he's playing every snap, but those are the things you want to do is allow a guy like him to grow up a little bit.
Absolutely. That's 100% correct.
So we have our fourth trade of the night as Miami was scheduled to pick at 48. They have traded with the Houston Texans, who have run to the podium here. They're going to make a selection. I'll tell you what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and take a break right here because we're 5 picks away from the Titans picking at 52. You're listening to Titans Radio's coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft on Titans Radio.
When your team is on the clock,
NFL Draft, presented by our friends at Farm Bureau Health Plans. When it comes to your health coverage, game plan, count on the seasoned pros at Farm Bureau Health Plans. They've been defending Tennesseans for nearly 80 years. As we mentioned before we went to break, the Houston Texans traded up with the Miami Dolphins to take someone here at pick number 48. They have yet to put that pick in, but that is the 4th trade of the second round. The Titans, if you're just joining us, traded with the Seattle Seahawks. They were supposed to pick at 35. They trade with Seattle and get their pick number 52, which is upcoming, and then 82 later on in round 3. We'll see what the Houston Texans do here in a moment. And just thinking about Houston's needs, they took a wide receiver with their first pick tonight, Jaden Higgins, the 6'4" wide receiver from Iowa State. And then last night they traded out of the first round, so they did not take someone last night, but they put a weapon there to help C.J. Stroud, their quarterback. They're still working on this offensive line, so it would make sense if they did an offensive lineman pick here, just because they trade Laramie Tunsil to the Washington Commanders. They bring in Cam Robinson. And they're still working on this stuff. So see, Kenyon Green, he went out in free agency. Shaq Mason was released, actually, I think. So they've got some shuffling they're doing on that line to try to protect C.J. Stroud, that investment.
No doubt about it. And you lose or trade away Laramie Tunsil, you got to start finding replacements, too. They got some very valid tackles on their roster, though, which is very interesting if they do choose to go offensive line. Man, Titus Howard is a high-paid tackle on their team.
Yep.
They got guys. Trent Brown is another. Cam Robinson is another one of those guys on their team. So it'll be fascinating to see where they go again. They're in that window of a young first-contract quarterback. So this is the time you start building up your team.
Well, any of these tackles that are left right now, starting down, just looking at the way this draft is, are developmental tackles.
Okay,
that's what they are. I mean, you know that.
Yep.
I mean, we've worked this thing this year.
Let's hear what the Texans are going to do here.
The 48th pick to the Houston Texans, and with the 48th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Ariante Ursery, tackle, Minnesota.
Ariante Ursery, a mammoth human being at 6'6", 331, hands 9.5, arms 33 1/8, wing nearly 81, ran a 5.01 40, 1.74 in his first 10, and at that size, still a 29.5-inch vertical leap, a 9.3 broad, a 7.813 cone, 25 reps at 225. All but one game started at left tackle for the Golden Gophers, 38 there, 1 at right tackle. That's a big man, Coach Mack.
Well, go ahead, Moan. This is you.
Man, wall. Okay, that's the word for
Wall.
a guy. Wall. Okay,
Yep.
Ray, you said over 6'6", 330, ran a 5.01. That's close to 4.9. That's unhuman-like. Let's just throw that out there. Minnesota's known for big offensive linemen just in general, too. And, again, we reeled off earlier their tackles that they have. Trent Brown, to me, is his comp almost in a sense.
Yep.
Big body guy. Mac, you mentioned a second ago, offensive linemen, most of them in this round are your developmental guys.
Yep.
He may sit. He's not a guy, to me, as I always try to move tackles or guards, that I'm moving inside. He is a tackle. And it's developmental, though, too, Mac, for him.
There's no doubt. And the thing about him that they'll have to work on, and because of that size and that length, a lot of times what you see when you start grinding the tape on him, he's a leaner.
Yes, sir.
He's a leaner. He's a waist bender. If they get that out of him, but there's a lot to develop there. And just the fact that he can move like he can move, it's refining the technique and the way to play balance. But this is a huge, huge human being.
Yeah, we saw him going in and out of the ballroom there in Mobile. I mean, you talk about tree trunks for legs, and good grief, what a massive human being. So the Bengals are about to make a selection here at 49. Let's see what they do.
Tim Crumb in the jacket.
Wow.
With the 49th pick in the draft of the 2025 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Demetrius Knight Jr., linebacker, South Carolina.
Wow. One of my favorites in this draft, Demetrius Knight, 6'0", 235, hands 10, 32 and 5/8 inch arms, nearly an 82-inch wing, an older player that was actually an athletic dual threat kind of quarterback coming out of high school, moved to defense, 4 years at Georgia Tech, then moved to Charlotte, played for that program, was an Uber Eats driver trying to put food on his table for his family. He's got a little girl, a little boy, and a wife. And then he goes to South Carolina, the transfer portal, and made the best out of it. You're talking about a grown man who's going to help this Bengals defense.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Tim Cronenberg that announced this, when he was defensive line coach at the Bengals, when we'd go to work to schools to work people out, he'd wrestle the defensive linemen.
Seriously?
Oh, I mean, this guy was a beast. Anyway, that's a little side note there. Everybody go to watch those workouts because he'd make them cry.
Hey, if it wasn't for a motorcycle accident, he would have had a whale of a career.
Oh, what a great player. Okay, now, anyway, this guy, the linebacker, was one of your favorite guys at the Combine, Rhett.
Yep.
When you came back from the podium, you said, Mac, this, and told all of us, guys, this is a guy that's very mature, and then you watch him on tape, he's really a physical dude. This is a bring the hat and the pads downhill. He's a relentless player. This is just a really physical linebacker with a lot of maturity to him.
I know it's a different regime, but this is a Cincinnati linebacker through and through, man. I'm thinking about the guys that's played the position like he likes to play it too. Vontez Burfict, Ray Maalaga was one of those guys. Coach, man.
Yes.
You know
Southern Cal.
Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like, he fits that mold of the type of guys that they like to have, even through a different regime right there. Again, the thumper, one of those guys that can go side to side. This is what Cincinnati have to do, considering you got Joe Burrow is begging for help on the other side of the ball, too, defensively.
Well, and again, when Rhett vetted him when he was at the podium, I mean, when he came back and told us this is a mature guy, you know this is not going to be too big for him. The fact that he is married, he's got 2 kids, he takes this very, very seriously right from the start. I mean, and Ramon, you bring up a great point because you played against that type of linebacker for years up there at Cincinnati. Those are 2 great names from the past there.
Well, you think about the AFC North overall. If you're going to be a linebacker in that division, you got to be ready to go. You've got to be kind of a more mature, a more hard-nosed type of player, because the football that you are playing in that division is just kind of dirty. You know, it is just dirty, hard-nosed, grinded-out football. And to be in one of those heavy contact positions, I mean, you've got to be ready for it, and he's a guy that's ready for it.
And he ain't taking the midnight train to Georgia. He's taking it to Cincinnati. And the reason I reference that, his cousin is Gladys Knight of Gladys Knight and the Pips.
Really?
Yeah. He's also related to Aretha Franklin.
Well, that's a great Rhett nugget.
Yeah.
That's 2 Rhett nuggets.
That's 2.
Well, it was
2
like
for the
one
price
and
of
a
one.
half. I mean, it was about the same guy. Let's not go crazy here. Like,
That's some famous.
Oh, yeah, keep him humble. 1.5.
Keep him humble, Amy. That's what I'm talking about.
that's what I'm here for, guys.
That's fascinating, though. Is you're right, Amy. Each division has its own trends, and that is one of those ones right there where teams draft towards that. You seem to hardly ever break those trends. I mean, we're watching right now the Tennessee Titans and Cameron Ward. I mean, that mobile quarterback, tough, gritty, all the things you can, all those adjectives you can name. Like, he's that.
Who was like one of his major comparisons? Steve McNair. Teams have their things, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just go with what you know.
This has been Amy's TED Talk. Thanks for coming.
Seriously, guys, the way that is, I mean, all those years I coached at the Bears, it was the black and blue division.
Yeah.
But what you do is you draft to beat your divisional opponents, and so you've got to counterbalance what they have, and so that's a very fair point, because each division has their own character.
Yes, they do.
Has their own character, and the reason for that is because you are trying to draft like people to compete in your division, because the quickest way to the tournament, win your division.
Yep.
That's the first hat you get right there, Coach Matt.
First hat.
First hat right there.
All right, so we're 2 picks away from the Titans at 52. So let's do this. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll catch you up to speed with what's happening here in round 2 of the 2025 NFL Draft, presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
In the heart of every community, caring comes naturally.
NFL Draft, presented by our friends here at Farm Bureau Health Plans from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. Should have mentioned that a while ago, that's where we are in the lovely confines of Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park, where the OTP emanates.
Yes,
the
audio
official
podcast
Titans
studio.
podcast. Yes.
This is a great studio.
Like, rate, subscribe, follow the official Titans podcast. Some really good stuff there. With Amy Wells, who does those so well, and Coach Dave McGinnis and Ramon Foster. I'm Rap Bryan. We are glad you're joining us tonight here on Titans Radio. And we are rolling our way through round number 2. And the Seattle Seahawks at 50 just took one of Cameron Ward's favorite targets at Miami, tight end Elijah Arroyo, 6'5" and 3/8, 254, hands 10, wing nearly 82.5. That's a good selection for them as a Seattle Seahawk. And that's something that their new quarterback in Sam Darnold will enjoy very much so. All right, we have a trade here, so let's see what the Carolina Panthers are doing. They are taking Nick Scourton, who is an edge pass rusher from Texas A&M. Kind of surprised that he was still sitting here. Nick Scourton is 6'2", almost 6'3", 257, hands 10 inches, arm 33 1/4, nearly an 81-inch wing. Nick Scourton got themselves a good defensive player in Carolina. You could tell that Luke Kuechly is running that show in Charlotte.
Yeah, and the thing about this guy, the thing that sticks out when you watch the tape on him is effort. This guy's a relentless effort guy, and it's extremely important. You talk about the long levers that he has, those go-go gadgets. He knows how to use them, but he is relentless to the ball. The Texas A&M had some good defensive players, some good defensive front players. This guy was very, very productive.
And listen to the terms of the trade. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
But, I mean, this is a lot of real estate. So Carolina trades 57, 74, 111, and 230 to Denver for 51, 85, 122, and 208. That's a lot of real estate just to move up. I mean, whatever, do your thing, but that's a whole lot of stuff.
Yes, well, you know what? This is the point of the draft, and we'll continue this, throughout the rest of the draft. If you like somebody now, and you think somebody else might like him, go get him.
If you like it, then you should have put a ring on it.
You got
That sounds familiar. That sounds like a song, even.
I'm just trying to help you out.
Look at this, y'all. The Titans have run in their pick.
Oh, and
here comes Keith Bullock. Let's see what K-Bull says. This is going to be fun.
And it's Keith Bullock.
K-Bull.
Y'all throw a stone groove, man. And with the 52nd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Olufemi Oladejo out of UCLA, edge rusher.
There we go. Yes, it is. And well done on the pronunciation, K-Bull. Olufemi Oladejo just goes by Oladejo. He is a senior from UCLA, 6'3" and 2/8, 261, hands 9 and 7/8, 33 and 7/8-inch arms, nearly an 82.5-inch wingspan, a productive player for the UCLA Bruins, and they get a pass rusher, Mac. That's something they needed to address.
Yeah, the other thing about him is when you're vetting him, I mean, he's played off the ball too. He's an excellent vision player. This guy has got really, really good athleticism. He's got good athleticism. He's got length, and he stays after an opponent. He will go after an opponent. He's very, very consistently after an opponent. The fact that he has stood up and has expanded his vision and then can also move to the edge, this is a valuable piece now for Denard Wilson, the defensive coordinator, to be able to move around the various defensive packages. And we know that this defense needs rush help. They got rush help here, Ramon.
No doubt about it, Coach Mack. And again, you lost Harold Landry this offseason. He's in a position right now to come in and make an impact more than anything. As you said earlier about another guy, immediately get in this rotation. And again, this is the type of defense that wants to attack and need guys to be able to do that. If you are a type of team that says we need to be able to get after the quarterback in this division, we spoke about other teams doing the exact same thing. He is your guy. Has played football for a while at UCLA, man. And again, has moves, can get to the quarterback and just break break you down. I think it's a solid pick, and not just that, Mac. Is Denard Wilson, when he picks a guy, stamps him, you trust those types of guys.
Well, absolutely, and this fits not only a need, but it also fits the ability for Denard to be multiple in what he does. And his defensive packages, I've coached with Denard. I know what this defense is, what they would like to be. When we were really good, we had guys that, regardless of personnel groups that were out on the field, they could adjust to it. They do what we call same as, is be able to do different things from different personnel groups, and guys being able to play different positions but still put pressure on an offensive front and offensive blocking schemes. This guy helps you do that.
Absolutely, Coach Mac. Good. You needed this, though, more than anything. And you didn't have to really race to go get him, but it's as quick as Keith Bullock went up there, it tells you how the Titans felt about him also.
And K. Bull got up there and flexed, so which is, doesn't shock me at all.
And knowing K. Bull, he was like, man, couldn't you have traded to pick 53 after my number?
Yeah.
And he's bored back there going, man, I was going to have an early night at 35.
No, he's got to stay there for a while.
Femi Oladejo was a top 30 visit of the Tennessee Titans, so that is one you can draw a line to in this. 4.5 sacks, 13.5 for loss in 2024. And man, the other measurables too. Did you mention those and I missed that?
Go ahead.
His other measurables, his testing
again,
stuff.
Rhett.
36.5-inch vert, 10 broad. 20 reps at 225.
See, and that lower body explosion comes through in the way when you watch him play. And I mean, that's extremely, extremely important. I mean, I like this pick, especially this is a good maneuvering of the board, being able to pick up fill in that gap to that third round that we're talking about, and still get help out there on the edge.
And just looking at it, too, right, through his timeline from Cal to UCLA, the more he's played, the more productive he is also. He's one of those guys, double-digit TFLs in the 12-game series that they play in college, but also a sack guy also. Mac mentioned it, too. You want to be able to have weapons in today's NFL. Off-ball guy and also line of scrimmage. Just a mismatch.
When you look at the length, too, he's probably one of these. Mac, when you looked at him, does he play longer than he even appears to be?
Yeah, because he's smooth. And here's the other thing that he can do. You can tell that he's a technician, because he'll take advantage of any type of misstep that the guy blocking him will make. So I like the guy.
Femi Oladejo, the newest Tennessee Titan edge pass rusher, UCLA, a big, long prospect. That is interesting. So that is the first of the 2 picks they pick up from the Seattle Seahawks as a part of the trade earlier tonight, trading down from 35. They have 82, pick 82 coming up later in the third round as we are rolling through coverage here of the 2025 NFL Draft. Anything stand out to you about the board, Mac, as we approach the bottom of this round? That's somebody that's still sitting there, but that's not named Shedeur Sanders. That's the big story, obviously.
Well, the thing that sticks out to me is this run on defensive players.
Oh, it's been a bunch,
and that's the thing that sticks out to me. I mean, you talk about edge rushers that are still on the board. Jack Sawyer from Ohio State, Landon Jackson from Arkansas. Yep. Those two stick out to me. We've already taken Oladejo. He was right there in line with our next group. That sticks out. The other thing that hasn't been taken a lot of so far is interior offensive linemen. Okay, when you look at that those haven't come off the board quite a bit yet. As I said in the offensive tackle section, you're now getting into developmental offensive tackles. That's going to happen, and there are still running backs now that are going to start coming off this board.
There's another group that I find interesting, too, here, Mac, as we look at the second pod of our cornerbacks. Azareye'h Thomas from Florida State is still sitting there, and even though this guy has some injury concerns, Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame.
Just came off the board.
And there you go. Benjamin Morrison is a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
It's like you spoke it into existence.
So, yeah.
Nostradamus.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Rextradamus.
Yeah, man.
Nicodemus.
Yeah. I don't want to be known as him. That's a bad biblical guy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes, indeed. But that's fascinating that he's one of the first Notre Dame guys to come off the board, too, considering and what that defense was. I thought Marcus Freeman and his crew, if there was one thing that he did that Brian Kelly didn't do, that was find a defense that could compete right there. And seeing Benjamin Morrison being one of those guys that's off the board for them, you know he's going to be taught well. He may be more ready-made than you think he should be. It's coming into the NFL. Just simply, I felt like they played an NFL style of defense, so it should translate over as far as his coverages and how he see NFL offenses.
That's legit point there.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the other positions in this. Xavier Watts is one of the top safeties.
Yep.
That's still sitting out there. So yeah, there's some stuff that's still floating around in this.
I like your zeroing in on the corners too, Rhett. That's exactly right. I mean, there's Quincy Riley from Louisville's out there still. Upton Stout, a smaller guy that I really like the way he plays from Western Kentucky.
How about a Cal guy, Noel Williams?
Like Noel Williams too. I mean, they're in the same pod.
So, yeah, it's rolling along now. This has got a flow to it. The Green Bay Packers are picking here at 54, and they're approaching the podium. Let's see what they select, or who they select.
Jordy, now you're going to do one thing. You stand right for Jordy. All right, Green Bay, make some noise. I have some special guests up here to help make the Green Bay Packers choice, so give it up for Packers legend Jordy Nelson.
Kansas State Wildcat.
Indeed.
What's up, Packer country?
One of K-State's finest.
Wish you knew.
Thanks, Commissioner. I also want to introduce Kenya and Marcellus from the Boys and Girls Club in Green Bay. We're recognizing incredible youth like them as part of our Inspire Change initiative. The NFL works with Boys and Girls Club nationwide to help young people find their voices, advocate for issues important to them, and become future leaders. Let's have these leaders help me announce the pick.
With the 54th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft,
the Green Bay Packers select
Anthony Belton, tackle, North Carolina State. Go.
Oh, yes, and this was a guy that Mac liked at the Senior Bowl. Anthony Belton, a huge human being, 6'6", 336, 10.25-inch hands, arms nearly 35, wing nearly 84 and a half, 5'2", in the 40 at that size. I don't care who you are, that's still not that bad. But Anthony Belton, NC State, that is a guy, you're talking about developmental in this. Is he definitely a tackle, Mac, because of the size?
Yes, he is a tackle. He's a right tackle in this league is what he is. I'm going to let Ramon go on him. But I will say this. When we're sitting together, all four of us sit together at the Senior Bowl up there and put our wizard eyes on these people. This guy stands out.
He did.
When he is standing around big people, he's over the top of big people.
Yeah.
This is a really, really good developmental right tackle, Ramon.
Yeah, if you've seen the broadcast, one of them, they're showing him right now as a young fella pushing a big SUV around, and that's what his life is turned into, is pushing the other big people around, man. But to your point, man, I do see him as a stereotypical right tackle more than anything. He was allowed to play it because, again, I go through it again, college tackles, a little bit different than when you get to the NFL. He is one of those guys that's going to be expected to establish a Green Bay running game, Coach Mack, and be able to hold his own on the front side of a quarterback's passing side, Coach Mack. So this to me screams Green Bay more than anything. But again, he's heavy-footed in the sense, but he's also just able to move really well is the way I view a guy like him. Long arms, able to be good in space relatively. And again, when you're talking about guys in the second round, this is one of those spots where you want a steady starter. That's the way I view him going into the NFL, Coach Mack.
I agree with you. What he does, sometimes when you're a defensive coach, you talk about don't let this guy swallow you.
Yeah.
He can swallow you.
He can. Yes, absolutely.
All right, the Los Angeles Chargers are making a selection. Let's see what they're up to. It's Melvin Gordon.
NFL Chargers.
Oh, wow. Wide receiver Trey Harris. We had a little trouble with the feed there, but Trey Harris from Mississippi, 6'2" and 3/8, 205, ran 4.54 in the 40, 9 5/8 inch hands, nearly a 79-inch wing, And that's a guy that started at Louisiana Tech from Lafayette, Louisiana, transferred to Mississippi and played for the Rebels there. And what a career that he had, because he's one of 2 wide receivers in Southeastern Conference history to record a 100-yard average per game receiving in the history of the SEC. Jabbar Gaffney of Florida is the other one.
This guy's a smooth mover. I mean, he's a smooth mover. He doesn't have any wasted steps. He's very nuanced in his route. And here's the other thing: he's a hands catcher. He snatches the ball. He reaches out for the ball. He's a hands catcher. He doesn't wait for the ball to come into his body. He's got very, very subtle moves with his shoulders, the way that he moves defensive backs. He's not the fastest receiver, but he's very, very nuanced. This guy is a space finder as a receiver.
Yes, he is, and fits the Harbaugh system out there in L.A. too. You got to also think about that in the sense of time he's coming to the SEC. He's been nothing but productive. I've always heard coaches say, look at the amount of footballs that wide receivers catch. He's always been above 40, Coach Mack, and not just that, high receiving yards for a dude like him too. I thought probably a little bit slower A.J. Brown is the way you view a guy like him, but again, possession type of guy, never have to worry about him getting body on routes, and again, fits the scheme of what you expect the Chargers them to do with a guy like him.
Well, absolutely. And here's the other thing: within his catch radius, you get it within his radius, he's going to snatch it.
Yes, sir.
Because he doesn't wait on it. He goes and attacks the football. This is when I looked at him. The thing I wrote down in my notebook was smooth.
Yes, smooth.
Smooth.
Yes, he is. And you don't want to just put any old cornerback on him either, Coach Mack. He, again, you can move him inside, put him in motion, and next thing you know, he's going down the field. He has a knack for catching the football, just natural at it more than anything.
When you go to sleep on him, he'll drop you.
Yes, he will.
All right, here's what we're going to do. Let's take another break here as you listen to Titans Radio's coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft. We've got another trade, not the Titans. We'll tell you about that when we come back as you listen to Titans Radio.
This is how the Titans build it.
NFL Draft presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. There's the 5th trade of the second round tonight that has taken place, where the Broncos trade 57 and 230 to the Detroit Lions in exchange for 60 and 130. And you just wonder if this isn't a defensive pick because they leap over the Raiders and the Ravens to make this happen.
I would throw out like Green in a situation like this as far as just trying to get help off the edge. I think he's one of the better available guys. It's just a matter of how comfortable you feel with him and whatever issues he's possessing with them.
All right. So, oh, wow.
Here come the Bears.
Seth Rollins. WWE superstar, comes out for the Chicago Bears at 56. Let's go to the podium here.
Green Bay, Wisconsin! Is that all you got? Come on, you can be louder than that.
He's good at being a heel because he's in Green Bay and he's making this pick for them.
I know y'all mad because championship gold looks good on the blue and orange.
That's interesting, too, because he's from Davenport, Iowa.
But in all seriousness, Green Bay, we are in the shadow of Lambeau Field. And I love Lambeau Field because the king of the North, the best quarterback in the NFC North, Caleb Williams, is undefeated at Lambeau Field.
Oh, he's turning it up. We've gotten to that portion of the draft, ladies and gentlemen. Wow.
And in case y'all aren't familiar with my game, let me remind you, I am a visionary.
A revolutionary.
I am a revolutionary. I am Seth freaking Rollins.
Yes.
And I am here to tell you that with the 56th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the greatest franchise in the NFL, the Chicago Bears, select Ozzie Tropillo, tackle from Boston College.
Oh, yes, Ozzie Tropillo, a large man, 6'8", over 6'8", 316 pounds, 10 3/8-inch hands, 33.5-inch arms, 82 1/4 at the wing, 5'2", in the 40. Now, Mac, because, and we're going to defer to Ramon here in a second, but because of the size, he's been called a waist bender. Because of how big he is, but there are some people who defend him, saying that he doesn't do that as much as you think, depending on the film that you watch. Dane Brugler is a big defender of Ozzie Tropillo of that fact.
I like him. Go ahead, Ramon.
This is a fascinating pick for them, considering they drafted Darnell Wright to be their right tackle and has played there since he's been in the NFL. I want to see what that turns into, whether they move him over to the left side. But when we speak about a guy like him, yes, he is the same to me as I would have been in the NFL, a right tackle. He's a guy that's a huge body, long arms. He swallows you up, Coach Mack. Another one of those types of guys. Feet are what they are for the most part. As long as he's good technically, Coach Mack, in the NFL, he's a guy that can start for the Chicago Bears. He is more of a road grader than anything, a guy that will lean on you and move you out the way. Looking at the NFC North and what they are as a division, specifically, we're talking about Aiden Hutchinson rushing off of that side. That's what he does. And with the Detroit Lions, this is one of those moves where maybe Darnell Wright didn't do what he was supposed to do, and they may feel a little bit different about him. I don't know if he's a guard. I wouldn't move him in, Coach Mack, because of his size, but a lot of folks would have thought that about me too, because I'm a 6'6" guard. You don't usually have those unless you're trying to create an offensive line that imposes its will on people week in and week out.
Well, I mean, here's the other thing too. Right now, you're going into a ball game. You've got to dress 7 offensive linemen. You got to dress 7 offensive linemen, and 2 of those guys have got to be able to swing.
Yeah,
they've got to be able to. But the size of this guy, the last tackles that have been taken so far in this round are massive human beings. Massive human beings, Ramon.
So Ozzie Tropillo, career-wise, 24 at right tackle, 10 games at left tackle, 1 at left guard, 1 at right guard.
Flexible, and not just that, they've also poured in free agency too. You remember they traded also for what's his name, Joe Thuney.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So they have a left guard This is a fascinating pick by the best.
It could be a
Matt,
swing
it's
pick.
one of those things you say. You don't draft for needs.
You got to dress.
Yeah, you're right.
You got to
Swing.
suit up 7 of these dudes on Sundays. You have to.
Can we explain why being a waist bender might be a bad thing? What
Can't
is
move.
that,
Can't
and what
move.
does that mean?
You cannot move if you're bending over at your waist. I mean, you can't move. You take all lateral movement away from yourself if you bend at the waist. All your lateral movement is gone. You've got one way to go, forward. If you do that and you miss as a waist bender, you can't recover. It's over. And very seldom do people try to run through 340-pound guys.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things we spoke about, too, the other day, too, right, Amy? Yesterday, when you asked me, like, big shoulder, long arms types of guys, you bend your waist a little bit, you eyes on the ground, they get around your edge a little bit more. When you got a punch and waist bend, that cuts the corner a little bit shorter, too, as far as the rushers that got to get around you. And it somewhat also takes away, it makes you believe guys like that who are waist benders, feet aren't as good, because if you trust your feet, you don't bend your waist because you can get out a little bit. Guys that do that, a little bit slow-footed, Coach Mack, at times, and you got to train yourself to either be more technically, drop weight, or just be good enough with your reach and technique when it comes down to it.
If you're a defensive player and a guy's a waist bender, when you're watching the tape, you said, we're going to work double moves.
We're going to eat him up.
We're working double moves all day.
Wow. All right. I'm glad I asked. We all learned something here.
Love this move for them.
That's what we're here for.
Oh, wow. So here's why the Detroit Lions traded up at 57 and leapfrogged a couple of guys, and that's to take guard Tate Ratledge. And he is from the University of Georgia. And, oh, wow, what a player this guy is. You're talking about a guy that I think he missed all of his freshman season at Georgia with I think it was a Lisfranc injury,
yes,
if I'm not mistaken.
It was lower body, Red. I remember
this was
that.
a 30 visit, too, Red.
Yes, that's correct. Tate Ratledge, 6'4" and 4/8", 308, 497 in the 40, hands 10 and 3/8, 32.5-inch arms, 79 and 3/4 wing, and has a tie to Middle Tennessee because his father, Dean Ratledge, was a football star at Tennessee Tech in Cookeville. And a longtime high school coach, coached at Cleveland, Tennessee, and then down at Georgia. But Tate Ratledge, that is a nice pick, Ramon, for the Detroit Lions, who are trying to keep Jared Goff upright and contend in the National Football.
Absolutely, Ray. This is also what I call one of those luxury picks, too. They have an offensive line set as it is right now. But you throw him in there, who, to me, I thought could have been a borderline first-round type of guy. You continue the continuation of what you are as a squad and what your standard is up front. So you give him now, Tate Ratledge, the opportunity to learn and grow from some very veteran guys, too.
And Tate Ratledge, a lot of playing time at a very high-powered program, the Georgia Bulldogs. All right, so the Las Vegas Raiders are at 58. Let's see what they select.
The Raider legend and NFL Hall of Famer Willie Brown. And I want to give a shout out to Willie Brown. His tradition in this place was he wanted to give a heartfelt appreciation and thanks to all the mothers of the NFL community. It's 2 weeks till Mother's Day, and he always wished them an early Happy Mother's Day. If you're a fan of the NFL, if you're a player in the NFL, if you're a coach in the NFL, you likely had a very supportive, encouraging mom or mom figure that sacrificed to make that dream possible. Tonight, we have another dream being made. With the 58th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Jack Besh, wide receiver, Texas Christian.
Wow, the guy that was the star of the Senior Bowl, 6'1" and 2/8", 214, hands 9, 31.5-inch, arms 75, wing, and boy, did he put on a show at the Senior Bowl and ended up being the Senior Bowl MVP 1 month to the day that his brother, Tiger, perished unfortunately and suddenly in that attack in the French Quarter in New Orleans. What a good night for this young man. And Coach Mack, go ahead and say it.
There it is. This guy is a football player. I mean, just plain and simple. You know, as a transfer from LSU, he came into TCU. They were very happy to get him. This is some of my NIL money here.
There it is.
And this guy made a big difference. Big difference. when he came in there. And then you're right, just the whole story. But this is a guy that's going to produce from the minute you put him on the field. He's not going to run away from anybody, but he's going to catch a million passes because he knows how to get open. He's a combat catcher. I mean, all he's got to do, his ball skills are really good. His yard after catch, even though he's not a burner, is excellent. This is just an excellent football play. And I'll say it one more time,
Absolutely, Coach Mack. There's no other way around it, man. They went out and got their quarterback in Geno Smith, and now they're assisting him also with a running back and also with a wide receiver. I like this pick, and I think any team that would have drafted Jack Best will like him too, because again, to your point, he's not just going to go vertical on you, but he finds his way open, Coach Mack. He's one of those guys that a high point the ball at all times also, and we left the Senior Bowl saying, Jack Best. It was him and Elijah Arroyo as it pertains to skill guys that really popped. He's one of those guys, Mac.
Yeah, and he's just going to be a contributor immediately, and you're going to get every bit out of him when he's there. This guy is not going to be a guy. He will come to work, go home, and be thinking about work
again.
And that's just how he's going to live.
We're rounding out the second round here on Titans Radio's coverage of the NFL Draft. Before we continue, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. The Titans play here in 2025. This is Titans Radio. We welcome you back to Titans Radio's coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft. As we are rounding out second round coverage in this, we just have, looks like 6 more picks. And if you have been under a rock tonight or been busy doing something else, just know that the Titans did make a trade with the Seattle Seahawks to get it started. They were supposed to make that third selection in this round at pick 35. And so they traded with the Seattle Seahawks. And with that, they traded out and got pick 52, where they took Olawufemi Oladejo, an edge pass rusher from UCLA, big long arm prospect to take care of some of the need at the edge pass rusher position here for the Titans, as Harold Landry is no longer here and Arden Key and company needs some help. And as a result of that trade, they got pick 52, and that was the pick there. And then they got pick 82 in round 3 upcoming. And so they got a third-round pick back, something that they had definitely seemed like they wanted to do ever since they, realized what a hole they had right there from the trade the previous year to get L'Jarius Sneed in the building from the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, well, they shrunk the gap. We talked about that earlier in this broadcast. When you've got that big a gap and the belly of the team, the draft is strong, you like to shrink the gap, and that's exactly what they did. So that's where we are. This has been a very, very fast night. I mean, I give credit to the crew here of being able to keep up with it, everybody in here in this room, because you got to be on top of your game to keep up with as fast as this round moves.
And it's going to get faster too.
Yeah, and so you got to get more on top of your game. But the thing about this is when you put in the work, like all of us have put in the last 3.5 months, you're familiar with most all of these players. You don't know what your club is thinking. You don't know what the other clubs are thinking, but at least you have a general idea, because the Titans are gracious enough to allow all of us. Yeah. We go to the Senior Bowl. We go to the Combine. They allow us a lot of access. We go to practice every day. I mean, that's important. That's important, and that helps us bring this type of broadcast to you once the draft starts, because you've got to have some familiarity. You got to be on top of it.
You do.
And the only way you're on top of it is that you get access, and the Titans give us a lot of access, which is really great.
No doubt about it. I'd hate to guess on this next one. It's a Baltimore Ravens fan. Like, I respect them, but I hate them.
I love how you make no bones about it. They went a pretty predictable first-round pick last night towards the end at 27. It took Malachi Starks, the top safety on our board out of the University of Georgia. And so that was definitely a Ravens-esque pick.
It was. With Michael Pierce retiring this year, it wouldn't shock me if they went interior defensive line. That's just them. Either way, it's on the defensive side of the ball. Baltimore just does this consistently, is try to find the next guy that's going to torment everybody across the league. And they're good at finding those types of gems, too. They got the quarterback. They're putting Derrick Henry up on the board right now, too. They're always in search of the next guy. And I feel like it's interior defensive lineman. And watch me be 100% wrong on this.
It doesn't matter.
No, it seems like a very Ravens move. I'll give it to you.
What I did enjoy, Ramon, was the disdain in your voice when you started talking about it. You do have some dislike.
You know, it's certain teams, Coach Mack, that you respect the heck out of.
Don't tell me. I mean, I know. I lived it too.
I know.
There's some people that I got really good friends, but every Monday, Thursday, or Sunday, I try to get them fired.
Yeah, and afterwards, we're all good.
We know you're fine. We're fine.
We're real good after the fact, Coach
It's
Mack.
nothing personal. We just want to beat your brains in.
Absolutely, Coach Mack. But the guys that I'm looking at on this list that are still on this board, Savon Revel. One of those injury situations. Last fall was one of those guys that was deemed a first-round talent. And it's all a matter of those medicals that they get the opportunity to go through, because I feel like he would have definitely been gone right now had it not been for those type of situations.
Ramon, that's a great call. That could be a Ravens pick in this. And you're talking about a guy that is a large corner. Had he not had an ACL back in September and surgery in middle of October, now he's been cleared by a doctor to say he's going to be good for this summer and workouts and all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But you're talking about a guy with some requisite athletic skill who has one whale of a story. And we'll tell that story if and when he gets drafted here, because it's something else. And that was one of Dane Brugler's really good pre-draft pieces in talking to this young man and his family and the journey. Because people talk about Cam Ward's journey to this thing. Everybody's got their own path, and everybody's got, things that stand in the way and obstacles along the way. Adversity comes, and it's not nobody's immune to it. You think about, Derek Harmon, who lost his mother, was just drafted by the Steelers last night. I mean, you just never know.
You don't.
You really don't. All right, here's the Baltimore Ravens picking at 59 here in this round.
Good evening, guys. You may also know me as Wise Farmer Brown, where at North Carolina, we have founded First Fruits Farm, where we have grown, harvested, and donated more than 2 million pounds of food to help with hunger relief and hunger throughout our nation. And so our motto is to never stop giving, never stop loving, and never stop growing, so that no child will go without food. My son JW and I, we have the honor and the privilege of presenting tonight's pick for the Baltimore Ravens. And with the 59th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens have selected
Mike Green, linebacker, Marshall.
Wow, Mike Green. This is probably one of the top pass rushers still left on the board. And 6'3" and change, 251, 8.5-inch hands, 32 and 3/8 inch arms, 77 and 3/4 wing. And originally was at a different program, had transferred. Was he at Virginia Cavaliers? Is that right?
He was a Virginia Cavalier.
And then he went to Marshall, and at Marshall, he won the sack title in college football with 17 quarterback sacks, 2024 second-team AP All-American.
Ramon, can I just say this, because you're sitting here miserable? This is a Raven.
Yeah.
I mean,
the kid is a Raven through and through.
Through and through, because you've got twitch. He's off the edge. This guy's relentless. He's got chase to him. He was the last one that was left on our board as in that first pod. As a rusher, just physically what he does on tape, you could not have been more correct with your feelings. I mean, you've got some Ghostbuster in you, where you just
I know. We laughed through it, Mac. We laughed through the pain,
I don't know
man.
why I feel like I should apologize to you somehow for this pick. Like I feel like you're personally victimized somehow.
Absolutely not, Amy. The board does what the board is supposed to do.
That's
and
true.
if there is anything, Baltimore can handle him more than anything. Cal Van Noy just had a career year for himself. Also, he's about 12, 13 years in the league. What is it? Adafe Owe is another one of those young, talented guys. And now they got a rotational piece in a guy like him. And again, if you possess the skill set, they're going to find you and find a way to put you on the field too. Again, his production speaks for itself. He's a guy that's quick twitch that can beat guys through them and around them at any time.
We loved him at the Senior Bowl.
We did.
We did.
Really did.
Yeah.
Now ask me about him.
Not so much, right? Here's the Denver
Yeah.
Broncos with pick 60. Monte Ball, running back, making this pick.
Wisconsin
Monte Ball,
Badgers, baby.
Wow.
We got another one into the College Football Hall of Fame. We did it. Now, with that said, with the 60th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select R.J. Harvey, running back, UCF.
Oh, this is one of Coach Mack's faves in this.
Yeah.
Central Florida, R.J. Harvey, 5'8". That is all. 205, hands 9, 29-inch arms, 71-inch wing, 4.40 flat in the 40. And at that size, he's kind of like the muscle hamster in Tampa Bay just a few years ago.
This was one of my favorite guys.
That was his nickname.
I love it.
At the Senior Bowl. This guy has got speed. Here's the other thing that's really good about this guy. Great backs have immediate vision. This guy's got immediate vision, and then when he punches the accelerator, I mean, it's like a turbocharged. I mean, it's a lot like what CJ2K had a little bit, because that first step, he's going to run and he's going to go. I like this guy because what he does, the package that he presents when he comes onto the field, you better be ready to defend it. I really liked watching this player.
Well, and Mac, this was a place of need for the Broncos too, because Javonte Williams is now in Dallas. Javonte, great player, but never been the same since that horrific knee injury he had a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Multiple ligaments torn. Here's the Washington Commanders on the clock and on the podium.
Check this out. With the 61st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the 3-time Super Bowl champions, 5 times world champions, Washington Commanders selects Trey Amos, defensive back, Mississippi.
Oh, there's Trey Amos going to the Commanders out of Mississippi. He is 6 feet and 6/8 inches. He is 195. 77 and 7/8 inches. That's a long player. 4.43 in the 40, and has seen the best in the Southeastern Conference. He is a Washington Commander.
Well, the other thing that he's got a GPS to the ball. He knows how to find the football. I mean, and he never looks like he's playing outside of his own cylinder. And what I mean by that is he's very, very contained. He's got zero wasted motion. And the length that he has, he uses it very, very well. We have him right up there in this pod as one of our cornerbacks. There haven't been a lot of corners taken, as Red has mentioned earlier in this broadcast that we're doing right now. This is a perfect spot for him. To me, this is also an immediate starter.
No doubt about it, man. And again, this is one of those things you go assist the other side of the ball. With a defensive-minded head coach, also Coach Mack, you know he's got to go get his guys also. And again, when you look at his tape, he's not nervous. When the ball's in the air, he can run tit for tat with almost every wide receiver in the doggone draft and in the league too. Yep. But again, you got to get them ready as much as you possibly can. Rookies, corners, I feel like those positions, rookie corners and mostly rookie tackles, have that acclimation period to where you got to figure out if they can starting the season off more than anything, Coach Matt.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be too big for this guy. And as much 5 defensive backs as are played right now, I think he'll be on the field really quick.
We are rolling through the coverage here of the 2025 NFL Draft. Only 3 selections remain before we get to round 3. Let's go to break, and we'll bring it back as you listen to Titans Radio's 2025 NFL Draft coverage. It's brought to you by Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Who will General Manager Mike Borgonzi select?
'25 coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft, I should say, brought to you by Farm Bureau Health Plans. For nearly 80 years, Tennesseans have huddled up with Farm Bureau Health Plans for their health care coverage. It's the winning combination of better rates, better coverage, and better service that keeps our team thriving. We hope you have enjoyed coverage so far. We've enjoyed bringing it to you as we are nearly out of the second round and moving towards round 3. And to recap, that's how this thing started. There's a lot of trades in the round 2, and there's been 5 of them, but the Titans started the first one. They traded with the Seattle Seahawks, traded down to 52, and got pick 82 in the upcoming round 3. And with 52, they took Oladipo, an edge pass rusher from UCLA, and he was a top 30 visit here for the Tennessee Titans. And we're going to be momentarily joined by head coach Brian Callahan as we get his reaction from last night's first overall pick and the edge pass rusher as well, Oladipo. Here comes Brian Callahan right now.
Hi, Coach.
Hello, sir.
Hey, Coach.
Let him
Come
get his
on
headset
in,
on.
have a seat. Make yourself comfortable. Welcome.
How are we doing?
Great.
Excellent.
Real subtle.
It is.
Yeah.
Doing great.
Yeah, it works.
This is quite nice being here at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. You can just pop right in, hang out with us for a while, go back to work. It's
I didn't know you guys
calm,
were up
it's
for it. I would have come
casual.
sooner.
You can stay a while, Coach.
I got nothing to do.
Yeah.
You got nothing to do. You can stay a while. I'm tired of talking to these three, so I'd like to talk
We
to
know
you.
how he feels.
I'd like to talk to you.
right?
You guys kind of got it started today. Let's talk about the trade today, first of all. The thinking about it, the way you looked and worked your board. Just hit us with that a little bit.
Ultimately, felt like at the spot we were in, we had multiple different teams and conversations, and felt like the opportunity to pick up a third-round pick that was still a decent third-round pick in I think 82 was worth dropping down. I mean, we dropped down, I think, 17 spots or something, which is a pretty pretty decent jump, but we felt like in that range there was going to be, we had a 20-plus players that we felt good about, and felt like we had some spots that one of the guys we liked would be there, in addition to us being able to pick up a third-round pick, which we needed. So really, really smart, I think, by Mike and Dave and Chad and those guys working the phones all day trying to figure out what the best option will be, and felt really good about how our board was set, the players that were available to us, and where they might be by the time we get to that pick, and I think it worked out great.
Well, it worked out good. I mean, to a lesser extent. I mean, Rhett and I worked 3.5 months to put a board together just so that we'll get an idea here.
He wants to see
Take a
it.
look at that.
If anybody can look at the board, it's the head coach, right? We have broken up in offense and then defense, too.
Take a look at it, Coach.
There's the other one, Coach.
That's what we put.
He's
them in, we put them in
examining
pods
right now.
so you can work it vertical and horizontal.
I didn't make this board. Why am I sweating?
I'm not afraid to show it to him because he knows you're working. And to me, I was when we were talking in here when you made the trade, I said what they're trying to do is shorten that gap between picks because that's extremely important. And last night, Coach, what I said when you looked at this draft, kind of the way it's shaped, it's kind of shaped like a Coke bottle. At the top, a little thin, big in the middle, and it flattens out at the bottom. So if you want to get picks, I mean, I think you guys did a great job of it because there were dudes all up and down that thing.
There was, and when you look at the way that it falls, just like you said, the value and the player you're getting at 35 versus what you're getting at 50,
yes,
it is comparable. There's some good players on the board at a bunch of different positions, and we just felt like there was enough depth to drop that many spots back, pick up a meaningful third-round pick still, which is, again, a chance to add another top 100 player. And that's the things you got to work through is do you feel like dropping down far enough with the players you have graded and where they're graded at? Is there enough options? Will you make it to your pick with guys you still feel good about? Very rarely do you ever trade out of a pick and not have a bucket of players that you're okay with any of these players should they get to that spot. So
we used to call it the bullpen. If we had a bullpen in there that we liked, whatever was in that pen, then that's what we would do. And when you talk to fans, or because we do a lot, but when somebody in the draft room says we let the board speak to us, that's what we're talking about, right?
Correct. When you put the work in and you set the board and you stack it the way you have, it's very similar to how you guys have done it. You feel really good about when, where, and the type of position you're looking for at the picks, and as players come off the board, you just kind of keep looking at it, And
that's exactly
you just
right.
sort of stare at it for a long time, but
it
starts to take shape, and the players start to reveal where they're going to be as guys get picked, and this board was, they set the board really well. I mean, there wasn't a lot of picks that came out of nowhere in these first almost 2 rounds now. I mean, most of it was pretty consistent with, what was out there for most people. Depending if you had a guy like you guys would have here, maybe a difference of 3 or 4 player ranking. But I think the top of the draft and into this part was pretty consistent, I think, throughout most of the draft conversations out there in the world. So I thought Mike did a great job stacking the board the way he had it, and it fell right about how we thought it would.
And I love the way you're explaining it because people have a misconception about a draft room on draft day being chaotic. And I try to tell this is the most relaxed time because you've done all the work. And I mean, there's no telling how many times you guys have been through scenarios, and you got. I mean, that's what it's about. But I like the fact that you just didn't look at those and throw them on the ground and said, "This is trash."
Yeah, you guys had there's some. It's interesting.
Brian Callahan moving down from 35 to 52. Yeah. You take an edge pass rusher, Oluwafemi Oladejo from UCLA. Yeah. He was a top 30 visit, I do believe.
He was.
What did you see in this young man? And clearly he's a Titan because you made him one.
Yeah, very excited about Femi. He's a former Mike linebacker. He carries himself like one. He talks like one. I don't know if he's done the media yet, but you'll see his personality. He's a super high character kid. Really enjoyed being around him in the building, and he moved. He's really young as an edge rusher. They moved him to edge rusher this year because the linebacker that just went at the top of the second round. They was on the bench somehow. Worked out well for my Bruins, but they had Femi's got some newness to it, and there's some things that you see from just the technical side where you just go, man, this guy's got such room to grow as a player. He plays with great motor. He is incredibly physical. Loves playing football. Great communicator. All of the things that you want from a makeup standpoint were fantastic, and then you see his physicality, you see his length, and then you see his upside. That as you get coaching and as you get comfortable playing in the edge rusher, outside linebacker world, we think we have ourselves a really good player.
I like him. I'm sorry, Amy. One more thing.
You're not sorry.
Yeah, I am.
Go on.
Not really. I'm very familiar with this defense. You know, this is a piece you can move to because there's a lot of things that this to me was an ideal fit.
Yeah, we felt really strongly that he would be able to add a lot of value to the position, and you can do some different things with him, especially as he gets more comfortable being an every down outside linebacker, edge rusher. You know, as he gets more comfortable. One thing he can do is he can run through your face.
He will do that.
He can long arm and power rush and collapse the pocket, and that's what we need more of. And really excited about his potential for us, and thrilled to have him.
I like that. Now go ahead, Amy.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate it.
Still not sorry. Go ahead.
No, I know he's not sorry. Coach, we mentioned earlier the Titans now have a third-round pick that 83, 85, 82, 82nd pick. Yep. Why was that so important to add that other pick, make sure that you had something kind of in between that 50-something pick and 103?
Yeah, when you first start out looking at it, you're looking at 35 and I think 103, right?
Mm-hmm. That's a long
time. And there's a lot of players in there. And like you said, Coach Mack, the draft has got some, volume to the middle of it. And we didn't want to lose out on still trying to add another good player to the top 100 that can really come help our football team. And so the opportunity to trade down was the one that we felt like was best for us in terms of picking up another pick. So now I think we're up to nine draft picks. So that's good. That's a good thing. And we just need to keep having more swings at it. And there's some really good players that are going to be hanging around at our third round pick that we're excited about, and a chance to add again another player that's hopefully likely caliber as a starter at some point, or a young player that should ascend by the first year that did really help us.
That's fascinating. You mentioned that, because what I was going to bring up with picking up Oluwafemi Oladejo and also Cameron Ward too, Coach. Like, you got two guys that come from strong parental backgrounds. Oluwafemi is Nigerian, and if you know them and their family structure, you know it's straight business and adult, like you are a pro. Mm-hmm. There seems to be a reset in just the attitude of getting guys as quick as you possibly can, man. Is that your approach going into this thing of playmakers, but also you better have a business sense about your job?
Yeah, I think you're always looking for, when you're trying to continue to build a football team, is you want as many top-notch character people you can find. Good football players, certainly, but high character, the people that hopefully as you all interact with them and the fans interact with them, they come away with that interaction feeling like this is a really good young person. But that's how you build the culture of your team. That's how you build the culture you're building, and is to keep adding high character players as many times as possible. And there might not be a higher character player than Cam Ward. I think we've all seen that today. That was really impressive for a young man today. And then as you get to know Femi, you'll see the same thing. And again, what you like about Femi is he's a Mike linebacker that's moved to edge, but he carries himself and communicates. His personality is very much what you'd expect from a Mike linebacker. It's pretty cool.
So the key and diagnose skills high on the radar.
Say that one more time.
I said those key and diagnose skill set because he's moved out.
Yes.
He has that ingrained in him.
He sure does, and he's got a great understanding of what other people have to do in the defense. And it's cool because their defensive system was actually at UCLA. They kept the system, but D'Anton Lynn, Anthony Lynn's son, was the defensive coordinator. It's the same system he ran at Baltimore. So when Femi and Denard were texting, Femi's texting him his favorite calls.
Wow.
After the draft, because he knows the system. And when he came in here and saw all the calls on Denard's board, he was all excited. The learning part for him should be very, very easy.
High character is something that obviously has been a priority, but it seems like also football smarts and football intelligence, that's also a really big priority in what you're looking for a Titans player. Is that fair to say?
I think so. I think that's what you always want. I don't know that that's necessarily ever really changes. I think everyone looks for that. I don't know that that's unique to us or anything like that. You want guys that understand football, that can learn. I've always felt like smart players are the ones that can improve because they're aware and they know how and they understand. So as many of those guys as you can collect, the better your football team is going to be.
With that being said, also, Coach, you pick a young edge rusher, defensive tool, but you also have explored the options of finding guys off the offensive line. The facilitation of competition between these two groups right now has got to be something you're looking forward to because more than anything, you get your quarterback. When the bigs fall in line and everybody fall behind them, that's got to be you guys' approach this offseason.
Yeah, it was very, Mike stated pretty clearly we knew we needed those additions to our front. On both sides of the ball, and so our mission was to add to the front as much as we could. And I think on defense, I think we're a bigger front, we're a stronger front. When you talk about Draymond, and you talk about Zoe Carter, now you add Femi, you talk Cody Barton as in terms of the linebacker. You had Zeitler and you had Dan Moore, and we're a bigger, more physical football team in the trenches than we were. Before the offseason began, and that's what our goal was, and hopefully that pays off.
82nd pick upcoming, but you guys are really busy tomorrow. 6 picks tomorrow.
That's exciting. Get a
good
chance
stuff.
That's great.
Keep adding more players, and like I said, there's going to be good players to be had here in these next few rounds, and I think I'm really excited about the work that the scouts have done, the work that Mike and Dave and Chad and Reggie going through the scouting process. I think we got our eyes on a handful of really good players at the right spots, and I'm excited to add them.
Important, too, just thinking about the structure of this, Mike Borgonzi in his first tour as the guy, as a general manager, but you have two guys who have experience. You talk about Reggie McKenzie, you talk about Dave. It's huge to have that much knowledge in one spot.
It's been really fun to watch them work together. Mike's been a part of a bunch of different processes over the time he was in Kansas City, but it was in one place. Again, with a lot of different people. And then you bring Dave, I actually came in the league with Dave at the same time in Denver. I was a quality control. He was a scouting assistant. I think he was a pro personnel assistant at the time. And then, so he, at the time in Denver, just for context, I think it's kind of cool, is, Adam Peters is there. Dave Ziegler's a young scouting assistant. John Spytek is there. Matt Russell is there. Brian Zanders is there. And we had built some really, really good football teams in Denver over the time that those guys were all there. And then Dave goes on to New England and spends time with Nick Caserio and Bill Belichick and that way of doing things, and gets a chance to do it on his own. And I've always been a fan of Dave's, and you just see the experience. He sees things that Mike hasn't experienced yet, and he can be the vision in front of him that says, you should probably think about this, or maybe you think about this, or, I made this mistake and this mistake. Let me help you not make the same ones I did. And then Reggie's the same way. Reggie he's outstanding. He sits and he listens and he watches and you ask Reggie his opinion, and he's got a really great one. They're just great people on top of it. They're a lot of fun to be around. So I think we knocked that one out of the park in terms of additions to our personnel department.
Yeah, an axiom that's run through this league forever and ever is both on the player side and also coaching side and the front office side. You can't manufacture that experience.
I'll be the first to tell you.
No, but when you put that together, because you can learn from me. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
I just experienced it. All of my years in the league is just, and you're always learning from somebody and learning something. Yeah. And if you put all that together, you've just got a better chance. And that's just the truth.
There's so many things in this league that you can't know, and that's playing and coaching that you don't know until you do it.
No,
and you don't know until you've gone through that process, and you refine it and you get better. And I think having people that have been there before you and have opinions and viewpoints that can help. For the same reason I brought Mike McCoy in, or
absolutely
a guy that's been around that I can go to for some different things and different perspectives. That's what makes, I think, any team of people better is when you add people that know what they're doing and can help and want to help. That's the other part of it, is that they want to bring other people with them and they want to be a part of the process. So, yeah, thankfully we have a lot of people that have been around this league for a long time. It's benefited all of us, I think.
Brian Callahan, thank you so much for the time. We know you're busy. You got to get back to the CO Bricado War Room because the second round is concluded. You got a pick coming up at 82.
Where are we at right now?
67. Yeah, 67. So the round 3 has started. When we come back, we will get you up to date on what happened in the end of round 2, what's coming up in round 3, and obviously the 82nd overall pick for the Tennessee Titans. As you listen to Titans Radio's coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft, presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans.
In the heart of every community, caring comes naturally. At Farm
NFL Draft. Thanks for joining us from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. Our coverage presented to you by Farm Bureau Health Plans. In the game of health coverage, Farm Bureau Health Plans is the MVP. Tennesseans have relied on their unmatched rates, coverage, and service for nearly 80 years. Rhett Bryan, joined by Amy Wells, Coach Dave McGinnis, Ramon Foster, and what a great visit we had with head coach Brian Callahan, who is certainly pleased, and rightfully so, with the way the Titans draft has gone so far.
It was a great visit, and first of all, I mean, just you can tell how prepared they are. I mean, it was. I really enjoyed that.
I did too, man. He's very thorough in his approach to this process, Rat, Amy, and Coach Mack, man, because, again, he's one of those guys that he mentioned it, too, building up a team and the experiences of it, Coach Mack. He chuckled because, again, we all come into this league and get reality checks really friggin' fast, and it's cool to hear him acknowledge that, man, and want to grow and be a part of this process and trusting his guys, too. You mentioned the group of guys that he can lean on as it pertains to this portion of the draft. Reggie McKenzie being one of those dudes, Coach Mack, you know him.
No, Reggie is so solid. I mean, I've known him for years in this league, and the way he described it is perfectly. He's one of those guys that'll sit and listen, and then you ask Reg, where do you think, and he'll just boom.
Yeah, very much so.
It is a testament to the type of human beings that they are. It would be really easy in a situation like that for egos to get in the way and for people to start competing and trying to get bigger pieces of the pie.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it could be a situation where things get kind of tense. This group of people genuinely all want to work together. They want what's best for the organization, and they're able to pull on each other's experiences and knowledge to just create something that is better for the whole overall, which I think is such an amazing thing. But again, I think you have to have the right types of people in those roles to pull something like that off.
That's a good point, Amy. And to that point also, the key with this group that they've put together, they've all won.
Yep. So they know.
Yeah, man.
And until you've been around winning, there's some things you don't know about how to get there.
No doubt. No doubt.
And that's so important. And nobody wins all the time. But once you understand, I mean, I've been involved in a couple of rebuilds in my career, and you understand what it's like to start a rebuild, and then what you have to work to, and the touch points that you have to reach. And the more people that you have around you that have experienced it can say, hey, look, do this, not this. Do this, not this. Do this. It'll save us these 3 steps. So anyway, I mean, it's fun to sit and talk about.
Let's get you caught up on what has happened in the time since we've had head coach Brian Callahan on. So the second round ended with a lot of defense going. We mentioned Trey Amos, cornerback from Mississippi, going to the Washington Commanders at 61. At 62, the Chicago Bears, defensive tackle Shamar Turner from Texas A&M, another big man to try to stop run and mash the middle of the pocket. And then a Tennessee Volunteer goes at 63. Kansas City Chiefs, they take Omar Norman Lott. He's going to a powerhouse program right there, Ramon.
Yeah, good pick for him, man. You love to be first round, but you'd also love to go to a championship caliber team, too.
Absolutely, because as long as you got number 15 and Chris Jones, a couple other things around there, you're going to be competing.
Well, he'll be a rotational player, but the way that he played and the way that Rodney Gardner coaches those guys at Tennessee, they're out there to empty their tank when they're out there, because they're going to rotate enough guys that you understand that when you go out there and play for him, it's much like Jim Washburn used to be here, but lay it all out there, and then when you're out of gas, I'll put somebody else in for you. I'll bring you back to the sideline, and I'll refuel you. But just lay it out there when you're out there. Save nothing. And that's the way that he's been brought up at Tennessee, and that's what will happen up there, too, with Spags.
That's good. And I know this for a fact. Trey Smith will welcome him to the NFL. They might be Vols, but I guarantee you Trey can't wait to put his paws on them, too, Coach Mack. You still are a young fella, okay? But that is true, though, Coach Mack. You mentioned that rotation that they have there, too. I wonder, do you guys on the defensive side of the ball, Coach Mack, look at those dudes and say, he's got a lot more in his clip because he didn't get overused in college? Because one of the things I heard in the old Nick Saban era was this. Like, you have to be wary a little bit of the defensive linemen that you got, because those guys, they practice hard, they play hard, they always stayed in the games for a very long time. Do you look at the rotational side of it?
Sure. And here's the other thing that you look at, too. And watching a collegiate player and seeing what his background is, as to how they've been asked to practice, and also just how, see, they don't have a restriction in collegiate ball as to how many days a week you can wear pads.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right.
That's interesting.
They put an hour on it, but not the pad days.
Not the number of days.
Interesting.
I mean, sooner or later, because everybody that plays only has one body. You got 2 shoulders, you got 2 knees, you got that's all you got.
I think
and so I mean, a lot. It all counts. But we're starting to see now defenses are starting to rotate people like they do in this league. That's why you see so much rotation in this league, because as you well know, the offensive line doesn't rotate as much because you've got to be able to play together.
Yeah.
But that, especially we're talking about down inside, that's a grind on your body.
Yes, sir.
The draft is starting to hit the gas pedal, too. The last pick of the second round, the Philadelphia Eagles take Andrew Makuba, safety from Texas.
Like that guy.
I absolutely do, too. And so we get into round 3, and it is moving. So the first pick at 65 in this round, the New York Giants take defensive tackle Darius Alexander, the Toledo Rocket, another prospect from a smaller program who is now going to play for Big Blue in New York. The Kansas City Chiefs at 66 take Ashton Gelati, edge pass rusher from Louisville. Then the Cleveland Browns on the clock at 67, and they take Bowling Green's tight end Harold Fannin Jr. That's a Cleveland Browns style pick right there.
Yep.
As some of their tight ends are starting to get some age on them. The Vegas Raiders at 68 take cornerback from Iowa State Darian Porter. And the New England Patriots just got off the clock at 69. They take a wide receiver to help Drake May, Kyle Williams, Washington State. The Detroit Lions just pulled off a trade with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and at 70, the Lions take Arkansas wide receiver Isaac Teslaw.
Tesla is an interesting study when you start looking at him. That's not a name. I mean, we've got him on our board about right here. That's not a name that everybody kind of picks up on. Right. But you put the tape on and you go, you know what? This dude's got a little something to him, and it doesn't surprise me that this is about where we had him.
Yeah, it's fascinating, of course. With a guy like Jared Goff, you're going to always want more weapons, right? And that's what he is. They show some of his clips, and he's one of those guys that you said, you see him, he's like, how's he continually making plays? Somewhat reminds me of a New England-style wide receiver, man, your Wes Welker types. One of those types of dudes, man, that just simply can separate Coach Matt quick enough, and he may not get you a 70-yarder, but you're probably going to get the 12-yard first down in a moment where he's got to get it.
That's it. I mean, and you start looking at him, you say, well, this guy's made enough plays that you got to take a look at him.
Yes, you do. And they got a good group up there right now anyway. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, one of those guys, too. If you can keep him healthy and on the field, you throw him in there. Also a guy like Ronnie Bell. They got weapons around them on top of their tight ends who are studs, too.
And don't forget Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh, my gosh.
What a great back that guy is. I know he played for Bama.
No.
But man, he's a good back.
He is, and he was one of those guys. I feel, what was he picked, like 16th or something like that at the time? They had like two first-rounders. Yeah. You look at him and said, did y'all really need him? Yes, you want him on your squad. And not just that, y'all. We were in Detroit this year. That joker hit that sideline, and nobody was going to catch him. It was a wrap. Yeah, you're right. Why did we forget about him, Rat?
It's over.
Some people didn't forget.
No.
Yeah. Some people did not forget.
No, absolutely not.
Let me just say this. You can't go through your whole life hating every other Southeastern Conference team. You just can't.
But I think he is.
Life is too short.
I think he is what he's doing.
See, at least in the AFC North, you only got 3 other teams to hate.
Yeah.
You're hating all the SEC teams.
But here's the thing, though. When they become pros,
nobody hates Missouri. I know.
Well, yeah, you're right.
I know. Right. It's fine.
You got 2 high picks, though, in this draft.
We sure do.
Money well spent.
Yeah. See?
But I'm sorry you hate everyone, Ramon. That's a tough life to lead.
See, there's the laughing me, and then it's the other guy that just, you see the other side come out. And you got to have that switch. I just need to learn to turn it off a little bit more, huh, Coach McEnany?
No, you really don't.
I don't.
You really don't, because then you would not be true to yourself.
There it is.
You know,
that's right.
It would bubble up inside of you, and you'd blow up.
Be you. Be angry.
We're about a dozen picks from the Titans selection at 82. We want to try to work that in. So stations down the line, we may go over just a little bit. We're going to see what we can get this thing. We want to react and hear that pick before we wrap up our coverage. But what we want to do is take our final break, and thank you for joining us. Let's go to break here with more coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft on Titans Radio, presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Your favorite Titans were picked on a weekend.
22, they took Oluwafemi Oladejo, an edge pass rusher from UCLA. And then they have the 82nd pick. So they get a third-rounder back, Amy.
They do, which is such a big deal for this team because it was going to be a long wait in between picks otherwise. So
ain't kidding.
This gives the Titans another bite at the apple, another chance to add someone who can really make an impact in this team. And I am hoping that we're going to – I mean, this draft is moving now. The third round's even faster, less time in between picks. Things are moving. And so I'm hoping that we will be on the air long enough to let everyone know what happens because the Titans having a third-round pick is a big deal in a draft like this where there's so much talent there to be had.
Well, Coach Callahan gave a great explanation as to why. I mean, we had mentioned it. I mean, you knew they wanted to shorten, as I said earlier, the gap, but then he gave a great, and it's true. I mean, when you start putting a board together and you start looking at the way every draft is different, the way that it pieces out, and the way this was, there were players in that spot, in that spread that you just wanted to get into.
Yep.
So in the last couple of picks, the New Orleans Saints take Vernon Broughton, defensive tackle from Texas. And then the Buffalo Bills, they make a pick that makes a lot of sense. They took T.J. Sanders, the defensive tackle, a few picks earlier in round 2. They take the 6'7" cyborg and edge pass rusher from Arkansas, Landon Jackson, who Mackey played heavier last year, dropped weight in this process to be more of an edge pass rusher.
Yeah, he impressed me during the postseason process of what he did with his body. And when we went to the Senior Bowl and watched him, we thought he played a little bit upright. And then when he went to the Combine, he threw up some really good numbers at the Combine, and he had worked. And so, yes, I mean, this guy's got a chance to be a really good in-rotation player pretty quick. You can't manufacture that kind of length.
No, absolutely not, man. And again, one of those guys who has adamantly worked at trying to be good at this sport, along with his athletic ability, too. And when you see him move, he's rangy. He got those long arms. Wow, offensive linemen got to have long arms. But not just that. One of those dudes that has a motor out of this world. And he gave DeVos fits this past year. One of his best games he's had as a young college player.
So we're moving closer to this pick. And stations down the line, again, we're going to try to squeeze this pick in. We may go a little bit over here, so just hang with us. At 73, the New York Jets just took Florida State University cornerback Azareye'h Thomas. And that is a large dude there, 6'1.5", 197. And a nice player for the Jets defense.
Well, he's got length. And this is not an overly twitchy corner, but it's a smooth corner, and he uses that length very, very well. He very seldom, when you put him on, I look at my notes, he very seldom takes any false steps, and he's long enough to be able to contest at the catch point, which is huge. He does a nice job of holding his water at the catch point.
And if he's expected to play early, he's going to get picked on often, too, because nobody goes on Sauce Gardner's side of the defense, too. So he's one of those guys that if he is that type of guy that can train himself up as quick as he can, Coach Mack, he's going to get tested. Yes, sir.
Get ready for some action.
Sir.
That's
Get ready.
a good point.
Yeah.
You got a rookie on the other side, and you don't have to mess with Sauce Gardner over there. You're going to the other side every time.
To me, what he'll be is he'll start in as the third corner probably, and then earn his wings there as he starts working into that, because what Ramon says is 100% right.
Did you say earn his wings because he's going to the Jets?
Yeah, a little bit.
Just
Play
wondering.
on words there.
What a pro.
Yeah, a little bit. Every now and then I know what I'm doing.
You know a lot of times, Matt.
Coach Callahan said you do pretty good, Coach Mack, after looking at your board.
Yeah, but he didn't throw any money down there on it. So.
Always don't do anything for free, huh, Matt? I get it. I'm here for
the facial expressions, though, when he was looking through, he was like, okay,
He was very,
all right.
yeah.
There was a whimsical look on his face.
It's like Rhett and I, we're not empty chairs is what we're doing.
Nope.
I'm just the helper. He's not the empty chair.
Neither one of you are empty chairs.
Neither one of you are. Absolutely not.
Coach Mack, School of Ball, rising senior.
Rising senior.
Oh, the Denver Broncos are about to make their selection here at 74 as we're working through this third round of the NFL draft. And remind you, they've got 6 picks tomorrow. A lot of work for Mike Borgonzi and all of this staff. at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. And
I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Mac, there's a lot of activity tomorrow.
Oh, I love it. I mean, I you know how much I love the draft anyway. I always have. But tomorrow, I mean, like tonight, when you get reset tonight, you can't wait to get to it tomorrow. The other thing I always like about that third day, it starts earlier.
It starts earlier. It goes faster. It's just bam, 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 adding players.
Yes, it is.
It's more of a rapid fire situation.
It 100% is. It's like playing whack-a-mole.
It is. And then about halfway through the 7th round, you start getting on the phone with your undrafted free agents,
That's a
trying to
world.
make sure that they're good and know what's going on. So there's just so much activity on day 3.
We could do a whole draft show on free agents.
The free agents.
The way that, I mean, that's
it's big business.
Well, and it's just it is completely the purge.
It's the Wild West.
It really is.
It is.
Well, and think about this. It's a different thing for the Titans this year because they have no 7th-round pick that you might take a flyer on if it's a preferred free agent that you think might get away. They're 188's their last pick as it stands right now.
And let me tell you, and of course, you know, you got rules that you can only call them at a certain point. Of course, everybody breaks it. But the thing about this is that you know, to open the gates a little bit and tell you what goes on, you know where you're going to be, where your draft picks are going to be. You bring some of your 30 visits in with guys that may be free agents. You know, you can say, hey, we'd like to draft you if you're not, so you get to know them. Because when you start negotiating with the representation of the free agents, if they felt comfortable with you, and they'll know that you'll shoot them straight up because all they want's a chance.
Yeah.
They want a chance, but they want a legitimate chance. I mean, if you're trying to get a corner and you've already got 14 corners on your roster, you're not going to get them. But if you've got if you've got a relationship with them already, you've got a chance. If your roster is the way you can look and say, hey, I'm going to tell you, here's exactly who you'll be competing against. Here's where we are. Here's how you got a chance to make this team. I've just done it too many times. But the more that you have a relationship with the player, they can influence their representation in this free agency.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's essentially how my process ended up happening.
There you go.
It was exactly as that. My agent at the time was telling me, hey, this was the Steelers. And he was just like, there's opportunity here for you. This guy's a young guy. That guy's a young guy. He's undrafted. That guy's on the last year of his contract. And we went through, and here I was just saying to myself, well, this team has been talking to me way more. And he said, but this team has more opportunity.
See?
And that's how the end of it broke down, and Pittsburgh made me a priority free agent. And to that conversation, you mentioned about our combine conversation. They liked me enough to do that, and it was explained to me, hey, if we had an 8th rounder, you'd be our guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's a fascinating conversation to have and process, too, Coach Mack.
It is. I mean, it's a great point. You lived it.
Yeah.
So let's do this. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. Across the Mid-South, the Titans play here. This is Titans Radio. And we're back with Titans Radio's coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft. It's presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans as we are working our way through the 3rd round where the Titans traded down earlier tonight. They have the 82nd overall pick. They made that trade with the Seattle Seahawks. And at 74, the Denver Broncos found another weapon for Bo Nix, their quarterback, and that's Pat Bryant, wide receiver, Illinois. That is an impressive young man. We had a great conversation with him in Mobile that week at the Senior Bowl.
Go, Ramon. This is your guy.
I like him a lot. He's a tough guy.
You did.
He's a coach's kid. He's a hard worker. He's an early morning guy. He's taken every pathway the long way for himself, man, and has knocked down the door every single time. Again, not a blazer, but he's a possession guy, strong. I wish you would try to jump on his back. He'll shake you off like he's that type of guy. And that's a good pickup for him. I crushed on him. I will not front on that one.
No, absolutely. You liked him.
I liked him a lot.
And the one thing that I think we all liked about it when we sat down and talked to him, he didn't get started getting recruited till late in the process, and Illinois had stayed with him, and so he stuck with them.
Yes, 100%. Good pickup right there. Good prospect in general.
An off-ball linebacker at 75 goes to the San Francisco 49ers. Nick Martin, Oklahoma State, Mac.
Yeah, well, this guy is a very instinctive player. Now, he had some injury issues, Rhett, this year, but his instincts are really, really good. He is a see ball, get ball type of a dude. It doesn't take him long to process things. There is an injury. Clearly he has passed all of the medicals that he has to pass because he's taken in the third round. But he's an instinctive linebacker. When I would grade linebackers, I'd look at their instincts to see how quick it takes them to process. He's a quick processor.
And they add him to the lineup of Fred Warner, Alfred Collins they drafted earlier tonight, Nick Bosa, the stalwart there. But they take Mykel Williams, the pass rusher from Georgia, last night.
Well, this is a football savvy guy.
San Francisco lost a good bit in free agency from on their defensive side of the ball too, and they're in a light, I guess you call it, rebuild on that side of the ball.
They are. They absolutely are.
Did they have cap issues? Was it a money thing?
A good bit of it was, and some guys' contracts were expiring too.
Yes.
Yeah, they chose to go in a different direction.
But here's the other thing with San Francisco: they're getting ready to have to pay Brock Purdy.
Oh yes.
Yep, that window's closed, huh, Coach Mack?
Yep.
And they made it deep into the playoffs in the last handful of years several times.
Yes, they have.
So, yeah, sometimes those
but
receipts
sooner or
come
later
due.
that toll comes due on the quarterbacks.
It does come due. And not like those scam ones like we've been getting texts and emails about like everybody has been getting lately.
Not those.
I always respond to those. Pay them all.
Oh, wow. Well, they love you. How about this? Now, this is a great one right here. So the Dallas Cowboys at pick 76 take a young man from East Carolina, cornerback Savon Ravel. Savon Ravel, 6'1", almost 6'2", 194 pounds. And this is the young man we referenced earlier in the night about an incredible story that this young man has. So he has injuries in high school, a couple here and there. But the real thing is when he's a senior in high school, his dad has a coughing fit, an attack while they're driving a car. He blacks out. They run into this concrete abutment, and it fractures his skull. It fractures multiple bones, and so it just really puts a damper on anything he was trying to do school-wise. And he was having issues with grades and things anyway. So flash forward a couple of years later, and he is an Amazon fulfillment center warehouse worker with his father, overnight shift. And they hear about this workout at East Carolina, and he goes after they've worked the graveyard shift and drives, goes, he works out. They immediately sign him up to a scholarship, and here he is going to play for the Dallas Cowboys. And you're talking about a guy without this ACL injury he had in September, surgery in early October. You're talking about a guy that would probably been closer to being a night one selection because of the explosion and the numbers, Mac, that this guy has.
There's no doubt. I saw him at the combine. He was there. I mean, he's a physical specimen to look at. And if you watch that tape at East Carolina before he hurt his ACL, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, this is a top 20 player in this draft, physically and performance-wise. So I mean, you told his story. So this is just another trek in his travels. But once his ACL is repaired, and it's already been repaired, but once he recovers from that, they got him a good pick.
It's just guys had an incredible journey to get here, and I think he'll work his tail off to get and get them help in that secondary to play for Dallas. As we get to another pick, the Panthers at 77, we're now six picks away from the Titans at 82?
Yep.
And so the Panthers have taken an edge pass rusher from Mississippi, Princely Emmanwori. A very familiar name if you watch Southeastern Conference football. And the thing that's interesting about him, hearing him at the podium at the Combine, his siblings, brothers, one is named Prince, one is named Princeton, all of them are Prince something.
All Princey.
And so somebody asked him, well, your mom and dad, when they yelled for you when you were kids, you're like, what? And they all had like shortened nicknames or initial nicknames to get. But yeah, he has multiple siblings that have Prince something in their name.
Isn't it because they are direct descendants of some sort of royalty?
That is correct.
And so
Amy
they
Nugget.
were all
I like it.
like it was a reminder that you are all princes.
Yes.
And so they have that in all of their names.
No,
There you
you're
go.
right. He is a direct descendant of royalty, I believe, in Africa.
Yeah.
And so, yes, that is why.
This kind of draft knowledge you only get on Titans Radio.
The things that stick in my head are
Amazing.
bizarre. At least Rhett's are.
No,
useful.
I mean, no, both of
No,
you. I
you've
mean,
been of huge help. Absolutely.
Rhett and Amy Nuggets, I mean, just as I said, if you're not listening to Titans Radio draft coverage, you're not listening.
No.
His older brother
You're
is
missing it.
Prince, by the way.
Yep.
He played at FCS Tarleton State.
Okay.
And then his younger brother is also Prince Will.
See?
Prince
So there
Will.
it is.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. Who's also signed to Nebraska right now as one of the top recruits in the class of
How about that?
2023. Geez, I guess they really lived into it. I just want to know, Red, God rest his soul, but what was the George Foreman side of his names then? Because it was George, Georgette, Georgie. Like, there was a lot of Georges in there, too.
And he had many children.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And it was
Red.
George or Georgina or something with all of them. So
Leon Washington's kids, all of his kids were some version of Leon. Like
Wow.
one was Noel, one was Leon, one was like I don't remember, Leno or something like that.
Yeah.
But all of his kids, and I think he had 3 or 4 kids, and they all were
how about that?
some version
Boy, Leon
of the
Washington,
letters
that's a
in Leon.
blast from the past.
Again,
Former New York
things-
Jet, spent time here as a Tennessee Titan.
Things you
Amy
only
Nugget.
get here.
Back in what,
Titans
2014,
Radio.
2015, somewhere
Yeah,
back
The,
in there?
the
somewhere
amount
in
of
there.
trivia knowledge in the brains in here.
It's
Of
bizarre.
you two.
And
you-
it's, I mean, it is after my bedtime, so
Of you-
the
of
things
you
that are
two
spinning.
is very, very interesting. Very interesting.
Titan stations down the line. Thanks for hanging with us, and we hate to run you over. We're 5 picks away from the Titans making a third-round pick. They did not have coming into tonight at 82nd overall. They made a trade as soon as the thing got started tonight. It was the first of 5 trades in the second round. They traded with the Seattle Seahawks, traded down from 35 to 52, and picked up the extra third-rounder that they did not have at 82. Head coach Brian Callahan visited with us earlier last hour and talked about how nice it was to have Mike Borgonzi and the staff create something there so that they didn't have such a long gap. You're right, Amy. It was pick 35 to 103. That's a long night.
That's, yeah, and I mean, that's a lot of talent coming
Well,
off the board that you don't have access to.
That's the point.
Yep.
That's the point.
FOMO, fear of missing out, right?
Too
Yep.
many players in that gap. I mean, it's just a wide spread, and that's way too many. And that's exactly the right point.
And Mac, when you look at the situation of getting that third round pick and giving up that 35th pick, right? For the naysayers that we don't like to listen to, but it's better to have those 2 picks picked up right there, Mac, than to go from 35 to 101. That's just not how you want to build a team when it comes down to the many needs that you have.
No, I mean, you want as many in the top 100 as you can get.
Yes.
The more darts you throw at the board, the better chance you have of sticking.
There
And
we
I'm not
go.
that good at darts either, Mac. But as you give me 15 darts,
Give you
I'm gonna hit
15
something.
darts, you
Yeah.
might hit something.
I'm just saying.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yes, indeed, Coach Mac.
Another Oregon Duck off the board as the Arizona Cardinals at 78 take edge pass rusher Jordan Birch.
This is an athletic guy off the edge, really is, and he's his production is good. We're getting to that point now. It's like Coach Callahan talked to us about. You've got a bullpen of players that you like, and so of just about equal value. And as long as it matches up with what the slots are on your team, that's why you try to get picks.
It is, Coach Mack. And then the other part, too, is the defenders. Yeah, somebody's dog. You got Aaron Rodgers' number on there? No, it does.
I couldn't tell. So
Well
we're
played.
watching the TV feed, of
Yeah.
course, and I couldn't tell if that was the person who had just gotten drafted getting hugged,
Yeah.
and that was like a dog pile of people, or if it was an actual dog, it was just a little dark. I apologize, Ramon. What you're saying,
it was a
sure was really important.
Squirrel. The dog was more important anyway. I was going to say is Oregon really changed their team this year, but going to the Big Ten by lifting. Like they documented all that, how much muscle they added as a team to play in the Big Ten. So that was just it. You know,
and they're having
the dog
guys
is more important, Amy.
But they're having guys picked. I mean, there's one, and then obviously
Pittsburgh,
the Steelers got one last night at Derek Harmon. Here's the Texans adding more arsenal weaponry for C.J. Stroud, taking Jalen Noel, wide receiver, Iowa State, 5'10 and a quarter, 194, 4.39 in the 40. So they add speed, Mac.
Oh, this is the speed. This is a run after catch guy. But also, if you go to sleep at all on this dude, he is running past you. He is going past you. And the other thing is, he's not a real tall guy, but his ability to track the ball over his shoulder is really good. And even for his size, he's a decent combat catcher for his size. This guy is productive. Titans will be playing against him pretty quick.
And how about this? At 34 tonight, they took Jaden Higgins, his college teammate, so they're going to play in the bigs together.
You know what?
You don't see that very often.
And I was wondering why they would go get another wide receiver. Tank Dell's probably not going to make it back this season.
He had a brutal. Knee
yeah,
you don't want to see the replay of that
no,
one.
absolutely not. But that I was about to question you when you started talking about speed, Coach Mac. It made me think about Tank Dell and what he provides to the offense. They will be missing that this year.
Yes.
All right, we're 2 picks away in just a moment here from the Tennessee Titans pick. Stations, hang with us. We're trying to get to this. We know we're run over here. We're at pick 80 now with the Indianapolis Colts, and they're going to make a selection here. And they take Justin Wally, cornerback from Minnesota.
This guy's good at the catch point. And not a lot of interceptions, but he can deflect them. Corners, we talked about corners, that they're going to start coming off the board later tonight, which is true, and then into tomorrow you'll see some corners come off the board, Rhett.
I'm interested to see what the Titans do in day 3. They're 2 picks away, or 1 pick away from their selection at 82, but they have 6 more currently, 2 in round 5, 2 in round 4, 5, and 6. None in 7. They traded away the 7th rounder to the Dallas Cowboys in the trade of linebacker Kenneth Murray to Dallas.
I'm also fascinated just to see where you guys are on this 82nd pick, too. Are you thinking offense, defense for the Titans? Because I'm looking at the board also and just trying to figure out where do you go get more help at. And I know the board speaks to you more than anything.
Yeah.
But it's a fascinating approach to what they can go after at this point.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to who the names are, all position-wise, not just one position, in their bullpen up on the board.
Well, let's take I'm interested in the wide receiver position.
That's what I was looking at, Rhett.
Jalen Royals from Utah State. He hasn't been taken yet, has he?
Nope.
No, has not, Rhett.
Okay.
Sure hasn't.
Tez Johnson from Oregon is still there.
Yep.
Alec Emmanwori from Stanford is still there.
Yep.
Is Isaiah Bond still there from Texas?
He is.
Now, he has some off-the-field things going on.
That happened right after the combine, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep. Oh, you know who else is there that is an interesting, and Mac likes this guy, Colorado State wide receiver Torrey Horton.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, when you're just looking at one position now, but that's where you heard Coach Callahan talk about it's where you start letting this board speak to you a little bit when you start looking at it. They've got choices. That's why they've already had this up on their board. And look, there's boards all around the room when you're in a draft room and it's set up properly. So you could pretty much do just kind of what you guys are doing, looking at our little draft chart here. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
You start looking, and then you start looking at where you had them graded, and you balance it off against one another. So we'll see.
Looking at tight end, Gunnar Helm from Texas is still sitting there on the board.
Yeah.
Well, and again, that's why they wanted to get at least into this round, so they're early on, you got a pick, you go get it. Now, when you've got the later picks, you try to get as many in the belly of the draft as you can get.
All right, so at 81, the Bengals take Dylan Fairchild, guard.
Georgia, yeah.
Georgia, that's right. And the Titans are on the clock, and they have automatically turned in the pick, which we will have in just a moment, and then we will wrap up our coverage. We appreciate stations staying with us tonight.
Absolutely, we do.
On Titans Radio, and our friends at Farm Bureau Health Plans for helping provide the coverage for us. It's been fun the last 2 nights, y'all.
Yeah, it has.
Big night last night, and another one tonight, and a big weekend for the Titans going forward.
Still got more to go, too.
Absolutely.
And it's fascinating, too. We've only had, I think, one mention of a particular quarterback not being drafted. I know that's going to be a big storyline with Shedeur Sanders.
Holy Moses.
Yep.
Not being selected so far, going into the 4th round tomorrow.
You know what I also find interesting as we trying to think about what this pick might be? There's been conversation all offseason in spots with Brian Callahan about the running back position.
Yeah.
Dylan Sampson's sitting there.
He is.
Right now.
He is, right.
Over 5.5 yards per carry last year and a touchdown machine. Mac, you called it. He was the engine of the Tennessee offense.
He was this year, Ramon. I mean, I got a ball for life sitting right next to me that's going to be calling games with Mike Keith there.
Yeah.
But the offense this year didn't run through the quarterback.
No, it was through him on the ground,
It was
man.
through him on the ground.
His only knock, just to be objective, was he, on his spin move, his ability to tuck the ball away. I'm not sure if that's going to be one of his. Yes,
right
ball security. But as far as somebody being able and capable of running the football, Coach Mack, he is, and I think he is a little bit of a different style from Tony Pollard and also Tajay in a sense,
He got a
too.
gear.
He can get downhill on you also.
Yes.
And hit the edge a little bit. So, and it's gotten better in his pass protection. He's one of those guys that you do like. Looking at the flavors that you have left on here, he fits that billing. I think Jordan James is a comp to Tajay in a sense. We'll see, though, if they do choose to go that direction.
And that would be interesting on Jordan James' part because he's an Oakland High School guy, just like me.
Yeah, right.
And,
that was big.
Yeah, he did a nice job for the Oregon Ducks.
I don't know. I'm looking at this board right now, and I think it's going to be defense.
Okay.
Now that I'm sitting here looking at it,
Okay.
just kind of seeing
And what makes you say that?
I don't know. Just kind of I'm letting it speak to me. You know.
Well, there's cornerbacks here. Jacob
There's
Parrish from
corners.
Kansas State. Coach Mack likes Jacob Parrish a lot.
You could even see some of these safeties going all of a sudden. Like, it just seems like we have reached that point in the draft
Xavier
where
Watts,
it's
he's still
like-
there, right?
Xavier Watts
Xavier Watts is still
From
there.
Notre Dame?
I think there's only been one Notre Dame.
I mean, Xavier
corner-
Watts is still there, Billy Bowman, Kevin Winston. I mean, like, there are real people who
Jonas
are
Sanker?
still
Yeah.
here. That it just feels like it's time, folks. It
Do
feels
you
like it's time.
because of Lord Cushenberry, Jarrett Wilson, the center out of Georgia, who ran a 4.8, if I'm not mistaken.
That's pretty fast.
As a security blanket more than anything.
Spoken like an offensive lineman, but not wrong.
I didn't want to be that way,
No,
but
no,
I had to.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I just don't think you can
safety,
help
too.
it.
All right.
I try to, Amy.
I don't think
The
you can.
podium action is coming to us here. Let's see what the Titans do.
In the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Kevin Winston Jr., defensive back, Penn State.
There we go.
There you go.
They took him
There's
a
your
safety.
safety.
Kevin Winston Jr. You're talking about a guy that is a junior, 6'0", 213, hands 9.5, arm 33 1/8, 80 7/8 inch wingspan, and you're talking about a guy that he fell to this spot, Mac, because he had an injury in this thing during the playoff or before the playoff run that they had there. And so Kevin Winston Jr. is a Tennessee Titan and a place that they needed to help filling in the back end of that defense as a need.
This is a physical dude, and as you said, he's got reach, and he's a very, very instinctive football player. But his physicality, his ability to survey the field, he's got a fast trigger. He's got a really quick trigger. When I say that, I mean he's instant from back to front immediately when he sees the ball to track it. We needed a safety. We needed more numbers back there. That's a good pick.
Yeah.
Yes, it was, man. And again, this is one of those parts where front and the back end of the defense work together, right? You got two guys that can come in and help assist you, hopefully early on in their careers too, Coach Mack. Big body guy, can play well in the run support. These are the things you're looking for when you draft a safety at this pick.
Yeah, he had an ACL that required season-ending surgery October of last year. And that's when his teammate Jalen Reed had to step in and help him there at that other safety spot. All right. Well, I can't thank y'all enough for doing all of this. And stations down the line, we know we ran you over 21 minutes. Thanks for being patient with us. And this has just been awesome. The Titans have 6 more picks tomorrow, but this wraps up our coverage for tonight.